So that was a lie. Anyway, tonight on Edge of Empire, Michael channels his inner Marshal Zukov, Rob realizes in another life he probably was a horsey girl, Graham starts listening to the whispers of the Chaos Gods, and Chris despairs as there's no option for Deep Strike.
Hello and welcome to Edge of Empire, a Horus Heresy podcast. This is episode 6 of year 7. Oh, scarier every time the number goes up by 1. Joining me, Chris, as always, are 3 wonderful people who have returned from an adventure, and they're going to tell you all about it like the great travel presenters of yesteryear. Starting with the Judith Chalmers of Edge of Empire.
That's
warm,
back.
warm, cuddly. You know what you're going to get, Mr. B.
Mr.
My
B.
Hey! Okay, I can live with that. I
think that's fair.
Yeah,
Rocking the
happy with
bingo
that?
wings, Mr. B.
Yeah. Judith Chalmers.
Judith Chalmers.
Fair enough.
Okay. Rolling on to slightly enigmatic, slightly neuro-untypical. That would be the Richard Ayoade of this show, Mr. Rob Eng.
Oh, yeah, good shout. Good
I
shout.
don't know
Well
what you
played.
mean. It's not an act. I'm always like this.
Exactly.
I used to actually pass Richard Ayoade every day when I walked to work. He lived in Wimbledon. I worked in Wimbledon. I never had the courage to say hello to him, though.
That's the kind of anecdote you can expect for the next possibly 3 or 4 hours.
I won't
Absolutely.
talk about the people I used to walk past on my way to college.
And then finally,
I think I've got a suspicion where this is going to go. But
Do
go
you?
on. Yes.
okay, he is your great grandmother's favourite, the originator, the oldest man in heresy,
Yes.
the Alan Wicker
I knew it was going to be Alan Wicker.
of Edge of Empire.
Alan Wicker,
Mr.
whose guide to
Graham
speaking
Mills.
whose guide to speaking to people in a foreign language is to speak English louder.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, he could have been worse. He could have said the oldest man in heresy, Phileas Fogg.
Yeah,
Well,
that would have
was-
been good, actually. Yeah.
I was
I would
tied.
have just
I was
fought the
tied
crisps and
between
stuff.
2 people. It was either going to be Palin or it was going to be Wicker.
Wicker's
And
a
I
better
thought-
choice. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Because
Wicker.
Because the thing for Palin was going to be, he used to be funny and his best years are behind him. But, and I thought that would be a bit harsh.
He's still pretty funny. Oh, actually, didn't his missus just die as well?
Well, possibly. I don't,
okay. But yes,
Right,
good
that.
choice, I think, Alan Wicker. He always went everywhere in a suit, didn't he? Like had this sort of like
The
sort of
man
classic
had style.
kind of safari suit
Yeah,
look
I was
that he
gonna
went
say, like,
travelling in.
If you look
Hmm.
up colonizer in the dictionary, hits a picture of Alan Wicker
Pretty
next
much,
to it, basically.
pretty much. Yeah, cool. Very good choices. So, what do
He
we got
died
then?
10 years ago.
Did he? Oh, he must have been
2013.
Oh.
I thought it was about 90 when he first started presenting, but clearly his youthful.
He must have had a really hard paper round and aged early.
I think he looked a bit caddish, if I'm honest with you, and
Yeah.
slightly sexually deviant. But you know, do you see what I mean? I think he was
imagine-
like a man who liked a woman to walk along his back
There's
in a
a-
pair of stilettos or something.
There's more than a
I think
More than a
Graham
few
is doing a
pinch
bit of
bumps,
self-projection there.
around the world.
I think him and Terry Thomas could have had an interesting conversation. Let's just leave it at that.
Let's do that.
All right, then. Cool.
Okay.
Terry Thomas, who trained his voice to sound like it did. He was as poor as
Really?
poor could be growing up. Yeah. His voice was entirely. He didn't get a. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh right, he wasn't from like,
Interesting chap.
aristocracy.
No.
Oh,
No.
nice.
He. Interesting chap, Terry Thomas. Well worth looking into.
Very cool. All right, good stuff. Every day's a school day here on Edge of Empire.
There you go.
So what are we learning about this?
Right. Sorry. Yeah, of course. So, as I said, the travelers will delight us with their tales of their trip to, as far as I'm concerned, somewhere else in the north. When they went to Manchester
Well,
for
it's
Warhammer
really
Fest.
the Midlands.
Shut up.
Hey, look.
Just 'cause
I
you- just
live
'cause
on
you thought-
literally
It's because you're too far away for me to slap you, Suffolk boy. Do not call it the Midlands. That is your one and final warning.
We're talking about Manchester here.
Over the hill, acceptable. Midlands, no.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
So it's all the north. So
We had to actually smuggle Rob into Lancashire.
Yeah.
We had to go through the special underground railroad that they have now to smuggle, known terrorists.
I've been on SOE courses for the last 6 weeks.
And to actually get them into the city with undetected, which was quite a feat, if I may say so myself, with some high-speed pursuit driving by myself in my lovely Toyota Aygo 1 litre.
He didn't take the bucket hat off once. He was that in character.
He did not. He used the old bandage trick. Said he was impatient. Go on then.
Right, so we're gonna hear about that. All that nonsense.
Yes.
We are going to go through the Militia PDF because they're not worthy of a book apparently, according to GW currently. So they got a slightly lukewarm PDF. So that'd be fun. And then it is, of course, the all important. And I can only think, I don't know if we've done that many yet this year. But it is list challenge time.
It has been noted. It has been noted.
Oh.
Our figures have probably gone down. It's like, with no list challenge, no, not interested.
Oh, it reminds me, I have to send you the latest figures. Yes, sorry.
Well, you can tell us on there, Mr. B.
So who knows what the... Let's not be so uncouth as to do such a thing. Who knows what the scores are, because we haven't kept a record from the previous two. And one of them was only a friendly, because it was between myself, Rob, and Mr. B. And Graham gets upset if he's not included. So
no, I don't. It's a foregone conclusion that I will never, ever, ever win a list challenge, and I've come to terms with that now.
You have won list challenges, not many.
He's not won a year. He's not won a year yet.
I have, and
but...
which is why I think when we eventually do go to live streaming, and we can then my army of bots. Yeah, according to Fitz Godsmoke as well. At least he did mention this, by the way, that maybe then. The Lord High Master, Mr. Mills, will get some more votes in towards the list challenge.
The fact that you're calling yourself Lord High Master, you need to get
That's
all you need to know right now, people.
Delusions.
That's what we have to deal with on a daily basis. As I've stated previously, and we've all stated previously, don't let the public vote for stuff. That's how bad things happen.
Yep.
Vote him at Boatface.
You're just afraid of putting it to the people. That's what it is.
No, because every single list challenge will end up 52-48, and I'll just have to murder somebody.
Okay,
exactly.
Go on then. Anyway,
move on, Nigel.
Speculation. Yes, I'm with the Nigel Farage of the. That's great.
He's the sort of person that would call Manchester the Midlands. Think on that, Botterill.
Okay. Anyway, go on then. So let's talk about Warhammer Fest.
It's time for these three gentlemen to tell us about their adventure to Warhammer Fest. Now, they were all there for slightly different reasons. Mr. B, because that man loves a con, and in more ways than one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rob was there because he wanted some sweet, sweet prize potential with his beautifully painted Thunderbolt. And Graham was there to chuck some dice, get in some people's faces, and
give me a cuddle.
Hopefully make a teenager cry when he tabled them within 3 turns. The usual mills, the mills at events.
Somewhat optimistic, I fear that I would actually that it wasn't me that would be weeping, but yes.
Well, could go either way, but
yeah.
So you guys set off Friday. Travel was okay. Got all your stuff organized. The first question that we really need to address, because historically Edge of Empire, when they go on tour, it's a mixed bag, but your accommodation, did it look like a foreign power had recently unleashed some of its top Secret Service personnel to use it as a base of operations to poison, murder, or detain anybody?
From the outside?
Yeah.
From the outside, yes.
I mean, when we first got there, there were two.
And this was booked by Mr. B, so this is a slightly different.
Yeah. There were two somewhat suspicious-looking gentlemen outside the house to the house next door. Clearly, in the sort of overheard conversation, it was what looked like probably a drug deal was going down in front of our eyes, which is never really fills you with confidence.
Not really.
When entering a new town that actually was right next door to a drug dealer. So that kind of put us a little bit on the back foot, which was like nobody leave the car unattended style thing as we kind of circled the wagons. However, Mr. B did make a reasonable point, which is nobody's going to burgle the house next door to a drug dealer. So, I kind of could see the logic
there. The house
there.
next door, maybe you just don't burgle the drug dealer.
Well, I don't know, because you don't want to...
No, having lived in that kind of area, no, they don't, because if trouble gets to the area, the police start going, hey, you're affecting the people nearby.
Yeah, I can see. And also they start asking questions like, oh, what do you do here, sir? What's all those peculiar lights that you have for your hydroponic system?
That's a lot of greenery you've got in your loft.
Is that 500 metric tons of washing powder?
They're setting a lot of UV resin models. That's what they're doing. They've got a lot of 3D printers.
Exactly.
They're setting. They've built a militia army. That's what they need them all for.
That's what they need them for, going 24/7. So yeah.
Yeah, but no, in all seriousness, they tend not to like people, messing up too much like that. And it's not a case of what's the word?
It wasn't a squat, was it? Basically, it was.
No, it was all right.
It was just. I mean, one of the first questions I asked you was, "Is there a knife with blood on it?" Because we've seen that before.
We have, yeah.
And
no, we were good.
So that was good.
That was good. Yeah, it was definitely it was a considerable step up from the one in the East End of London by a country mile, actually. So it was nice, actually. I mean, it was comfortable. It was near lots of things. So it was very near an Asda, so that was very convenient for us to go and get stuff.
It was chocolate boiling.
It was. We had to turn the heating down, but yeah, I think bear in mind that we weren't there for any length of time, really. It was a good base of operations. I mean, it was a bit of a trek to get to Manchester, but that's another story, really, I suppose. We decided on the Saturday. So on the Saturday, we kind of looked at the parking in Manchester, which when we looked at it, it was like, oh, that'll be £40, please, to park your car for the day. And it was like, yeah, that's probably a bit much. Why don't we make ourselves, available to the green option and get the tram into the city centre? We thought that would be good. That would give us plenty of time to swan around because it's not far.
Before the event starts.
No, it'd be stress-free, no hassle.
Manchester tram station, pretty much same speed as Tectonic Drift. I'm sure we could have probably walked it in the time it took to.
Yes, I'm pretty sure too.
So that's that's Saturday morning. So let's
Friday night.
Let's roll back slightly.
Okay.
So Friday night, you guys rocked up to a certain well-known sponsor of this show.
Element Games.
And ran into
Element Games.
Everyone and their cousin, by the look of it.
Yeah. It was a great night, actually. I've got to say, if I lived near Element Games, you would be really spoiled. I know this sounds like a plug. It's not, but having that
if
shop,
you lived near Element Games, you would be divorced and be living there permanently.
I mean, that shop has got literally everything, and I like that more than a Games Workshop or even Warhammer World because of the variety of things they have there. So, it's not just one range of stuff. There's all these different paints. There's different models. There's all of the Cromlech stuff as well that they've got on the shelves. It's just like you got the impression that it was like a bit of an Aladdin's cave of poking around, just trying to find cool things and lots of different games. Yeah, I haven't been there for a few years, but I've got to say it is a fantastic place to.
My first visit.
Is it really? Wow.
My first
you kept that quiet.
Didn't you go to an event with me there to the Imperial Truth one?
Nope, that was in Cardiff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, I've been to Element Games before. Maybe I went on my own then. I've been to Element Games before to play. I think I've been there to play Heresy, but maybe it's 40k. Don't know. Anyway, that was the second time I've been there, so I definitely distinctly remember it. But you'd be super spoiled, I think, if you lived near there, because the paints are fantastic. the staff are really helpful. They've got, I went in to buy 2 Scorpiuses. They didn't have them on the shelves. They just went and got them from their own kind of warehouse, which I'm assuming is nearby. Stuff like that. Just really awesome. I was blown away by the place, to be honest with you. If I was going to set up a gaming centre, that would be the aspirational model, I think. I don't know how much they make from the actual venue itself, or whether it's just sort of just about breaks even, but their main business is in the online sales now. But I've got to say, it was it's totally worth going. The table itself, I think it was £14 for the 4 of us,
Something like that,
which I thought was very reasonable. They've got like tea and coffee there, beer, a proper bar. Yeah, really good. So but we did meet up with a few folks, which was nice. Yeah. So Niall we met because we had the game of doubles with Niall. He's always good company. And then Greg and I forget the other chap's name, but Howard on the
Howard.
And we had a really good laugh with those 2. I've got to be honest with you. Yeah. I know sometimes
he comes across a lot better in person, doesn't he?
He does, doesn't he? Online, he's very acerbic.
He's just got a dry sense of humour.
Dry,
I think he knows
Sahara.
Well. I think he
dry. The Atacama Desert is wetter than that, man.
But I've got to say, I really enjoyed that evening.
Yeah,
that was
I did as well.
And really good fun, and it's always a good laugh when we get together like that. So yeah. I've never taken ourselves too seriously, which I think is really good. And we're all sort of willing to sort of have a bit of banter with each other, which was good fun. So game was good. It was Rob's second edition game.
It was.
So
the
how was that, Rob?
Not wildly different to first edition, other than like Overwatching at full BS was interesting. Reactions, I didn't see that much of what happens with reactions, because basically all the Nile stuff was dead. And then Mr. B's stuff ran at me, and then that was dead. So, spoiler alert: Fafnir ran kicked to death by a Thanatar along with all his Templar brethren mates.
That was he failed his leadership,
legged it about an inch,
and then got charged when he'd been legged it and failed his leadership again or something. I think that was how it worked.
He got swept.
Yeah, I was going to look this up actually, because it must be in the rules somewhere, because Niall is a living rules encyclopedia. But if you're falling back and you're then charged, I don't think you regroup in this edition. I might have a look.
He didn't get a chance though. I caught him. I caught him as he tried to run away.
Did you? Yeah, well, you did, didn't you?
Swept him. 9 Templar brethren and Fafnir ran. See you later.
Yeah, that's right.
With a big robot thing.
I don't know if you could with the big robot, because it's probably heavy.
That's kind of what I'm angling at.
I'm not sure. It wasn't just the big robot, though, was it, that was in combat with him?
No, that it was some tech thralls. Because Mr. B rolled an 11 for leadership and then ran away 3 inches.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, Mr. B.
Yeah, I did.
No, he didn't run away. He ran away 5 inches because he rolled a 1 for his D6 plus majority initiative in it. So he rolled a 1, and I was initiative 3 and rolled like a 6 and was like, "See you later."
See you later. The night sailor. So yeah, that was good. That was my.
Who actually won? I'm pretty sure it was you guys, but I wasn't.
Oh, it was definitely us.
It was definitely us.
Keep a score.
I wasn't really paying attention to the score. I was just having fun rolling dice.
Yeah. So the Solar Auxiliary that Niall took was kind of like a allied force. So, but yeah, a problem is that I had my tank army. That was the only one I had with me. So, and it was pretty effective at dealing with the Solar Auxiliary's tank army, if you see what I mean. So, yeah, unfortunately, I kind of got the better of the tank battle. The Starties are going to probably come out on top.
Yes,
handshakes were exchanged. Fun time was had by all.
Yeah, it was a good fun game.
Beer was drunk. Laughs were had.
Yes,
all was gravy.
Really it was really good.
Yeah, it was a really good night actually, and like I say, you can just imagine going there.
Before we went there, we'd been into town to drop the bolt off.
We had, yeah, and of course the fun and excitement of navigating Manchester's peculiar system involved me driving down a bus lane, which I don't think I should have done. So I'm still watching the post carefully.
Yeah,
I have subsequently spoken to a traffic copper from Manchester, and he said if it's obvious that you made a mistake, a lot of the time they just don't bother.
Okay. Got
because
you.
they'll run a
number
number.
the V's as you drive down the road.
Yes.
They'll run a number plate. He said they normally run a number plate check to see where it's from, and if it's someone who's wildly from out of town, a lot of the time they don't bother if it's quiet and you're not obviously causing a danger to anybody else. He says a lot of the time it's an honest mistake. It shouldn't cost you.
All right, we shall see. I shall await with bated breath to see if I do get a letter through. I think Google actually sent me down it, so that makes me wonder whether it's one of these bus
Well, there you go. If they pay the fine, that's
lane.
more than they'll pay in tax for the year.
That's true. I did wonder whether the bus lane was one of those ones that's only a bus lane for certain times of the day. But anyway, we shall find out.
So you snuck in with said Thunderbolt under your arm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I registered. We registered for. We got. You could register the night before as well. So I
yes,
registered.
we got all our wristbands and everything the night before, so we didn't have to queue the next day.
Yeah.
Recommended.
Yeah.
We were like,
when you guys were you able to get a good view of the space at that point, or was it just
you couldn't get in
to a counter and that was it?
Just the entrance foyer, yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't. Basically, they kind of the entranceway had this kind of very themey thing, which is very cool actually. But you weren't allowed up to that point. You basically went to the sort of registration desk stuff, and that was your lot. I did get a nice set of cards though. I will say with the standard book missions on. Spoiler alert. Because we did actually record when we were there, didn't we, for the Patreon?
Yes, we did.
So this will be the sort of shortened version of that. But yeah, they basically gave us a nice set. What the missions were. I think they're basically just book missions and just a sort of rundown and stuff, which was nice actually. Cool. But yeah, other than that, it was all cool. Great Friday night. Went home, went to bed.
Slept.
We had to get up crazy early because the tournament started at 9:30. So
the first game was at 9:30. Let's just.
Yeah, and of course, being me, I was like, well, I'll get there for 9.
Man's an event organizer. Get slightly annoyed when people are late, but so do as I say, not as
exactly because I hate queuing, which is probably a problem. I've become very impatient in my old age, which I think actually being an old person I'd love queuing because that's what old people seem to do a lot.
If you hate queuing, spoiler alert, you're at the wrong event.
You're in that middle ground of age. You've not quite reached the point where Doris in the pension queue is have a catch up. Discuss what steroid regime you use.
Yeah, not quite there yet. It's on the agenda. But anyway, so Saturday morning, as we kind of fast forwarded to earlier, we decided to get the tram in, which literally took about an hour.
To do 2 miles.
And it just didn't seem like it was very far at all on the map. Because it kind of goes very slowly and stops everywhere. And of course, as this is going on, I'm looking at Google and thinking that this is 25 minutes to get to the venue or near the venue. And we've got to walk to the venue and it's 9:10 now. And so Mr. B was like being super chilled because Mr. B is a super chilled character when it comes to these things. I'm fretting thinking, oh my God, they're not going to let me in the tournament because I'm late.
I was stressed at work at the other end of the country thinking, A, I know what you're going to be like, and B, they're representing the company here, and they're going to stroll in 20 minutes late to everything. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think we just missed one tram. I think that was the problem. If we'd caught the tram that we may have...
Basically, if we hadn't stopped for breakfast at a popular fast food chain, we would have been there on time.
We would have been on time. That's true. That's probably my fault. We should have just taken our breakfast and gone and ate it on the platform. But anyway, obviously it was less stressful than driving in on a Saturday morning. But it was actually no, it wasn't. It was massively stressful because I was worried about getting in on time.
But you did.
Yeah, all right, Mr. B. But I think that was rather by luck than judgment that we managed to do it. So anyway, we kind of went in and so there was this big confusion about the fest, which a number of kind of influencer types have commented on, which was the reveal, the 40k reveal. So the new edition, 10th edition, it's coming out. That was at 9:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
But if you had a day ticket, you couldn't get in until 10:00.
Apparently,
So-
people were just
If you
let in.
had a
Apparently, people were just
3-day
let in.
ticket, you could get in at 8:30 to get in time.
or
But
if
the
you have a-
reveal was also in the auditorium, which had an
Yeah.
800 capacity. They sold 14,000 tickets for Saturday.
or if you have a
Or if you had
unfortunately
a what
disabled-
they were calling handicapped, and this is where I'm going to get all politically correct, but honestly, in this day and age, who calls it handicapped?
Oh right.
Well,
did
after
they
seeing
say
you
that?
wandering around like like Brownie in motion in human form, I'd call you bloody handicapped.
you are kind of like a force of nature, Mr. B. when you get
Spatially
in.
handicapped, just
When you-
literally you were drifting around like a balloon.
He's like the cosmos in action.
Yeah.
Watching. If you
Yeah.
put a tracker on
Yeah,
him,
no.
you'd probably be able to solve all sorts of peculiarities of Brownian motion or something.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
like Mr. B. in the-
How do we track random movement in a body in a body? Not a problem. Stick a wireless, stick a radio on Mr. B and stick him in a con and just watch him literally
watch him
just
go.
drift through the crowds like
I think-
osmosis.
I think he would make an excellent assassin. I've decided that, Mr. B, because on the outside he kind of has this demeanor of somebody drifting through life fairly aimlessly. I think that would make him a really effective
literally is my life.
assassin. Because it'd
He
be
might
like
actually be one. That might be why he picked the Novichok Hotel, because he might have been like, his
hunting them
handler
down.
might have told
Hiding
him where
I
to
didn't
go.
pick the Novichok Hotel. That was Graham.
You didn't do
Or
that
was it?
entirely.
Or
Oh, was it?
Graham?
Did you subliminally hypnotize
Glasses
him
of-
into booking the Novichok Hotel?
Okay, no,
Love
but
to
yeah.
see.
Anyway, no, seriously, it was a bit of a mess up because apparently they didn't even care and people were being let in at 9 o'clock.
Well,
regardless of
'cause
whatever
when we
ticket
got
they
there,
had.
because we'd already had our tickets done the night before, so we just kind of thought there wasn't
Flashed
actually
the
a queue
wristbands, didn't
outside. And also we had Mr. B, so Mr. B got sort of priority entrance because of his disability, which was super, handy from our point of view. But obviously, but they kind of catered to that well, I thought, ish. But so I kind of ran to try and find where the heresy was, and luckily, there was a guy looking for me, going, "Hey, I'm supposed to have a game," and I thought, there's enough people here, and luckily I bumped into the person who didn't have a game, and it was like, "Hey, cool, well, let's have a game." So, but yeah, that was that. But yeah,
From
Mr.
what organised
From what I
the
told from that, he was like, "No, hey, let's have a beer."
But the thing is, yeah, he had a few. The thing is, do you want to talk about the games or the?
Do you want to quickly
Shall
run over them?
we-
But
I can
don't
quickly go
too
through them if you
in
want.
depth, not
Yeah, I
too
went.
in
I think I
depth.
went. I think I
We'll
went.
go through your experiences of the day one at a time. So yes, if you go
All right.
first with the
With the games.
tournament.
So the tournament was. Now, unfortunately, I missed the briefing, but there wasn't really a huge amount. I mean, it's just a narrative event, and maybe my preconceptions of a narrative event.
I'm told there was basically no narrative briefing at all, and it was just rules and.
Oh right, but there was in the second game, but the first game there was kind of nothing, and I was expecting. If I'm honest with you, I was thinking, well, maybe they've learnt a lesson, and maybe there'll be a bit more, something. But it was just book missions, to be honest with you, as well. So that's probably the bit that disappointed me the most. I think is that
Just-
going all that way,
They got-
you've got all that staff, and all they could really do was just copy the book missions, and it's like. Because you basically rolled for a mission, or I think he rolled for a mission and said, "Oh, you're doing Shatter Strike or whatever." Which I
was it not them? It wasn't even them determining the.
No, I think they
before.
did determine the mission. Yeah, but it was like say they just. I think he just rolled the dice and rolled the deployment zone and told everybody what they were doing. Which is only one guy, and I think there was about 35 people playing Heresy, but there were a lot of empty tables, which was really weird because you said it was sold out.
Yeah,
Bear
I
in
tried to
mind
get a
that-
ticket because I was like, "Oh, I can give myself something to do on the Saturday," and yeah, it was sold out. So
I don't know whether there were a load of no-shows or something, but it was weird.
I was a little disappointed to see so many empty tables.
Yeah,
And it was all day. It was
gonna
all
be
day.
structured over the weekend, wasn't it, as well? Because it was singles Saturday, doubles Sunday, and then
Apocalypse.
big apocalypse
Yeah.
game, which is, I guess, was their attempt at narrative was
Yeah.
different.
The only thing I can think of is that that maybe they had more tables out for the game. There were more people coming on Sunday for the doubles, possibly, if you see what I mean. But then that means they could have sold more singles tickets, as far as I can tell. But
Yeah, kind of glad I
Yeah, 'cause
didn't
I
go
mean-
in the double, so because I've seen some of those lists and some of those were not chill.
yeah, I mean,
I
let's
put
talk.
myself on the waiting list for singles because I was, the week before, I was like, well, if I can get a ticket to roll dice, then I'll make the journey.
Yeah, I think that's the golden rule: is only go to something when you roll dice, and I'm glad I kind of stuck to that because we'll come on to Sunday later. But so anyway, first game was against Alpha Legion infantry army against my Ultramarines, all tanks. I had 10 infantry models, which was 2 squads of Caesarean. So, the guy put up a good fight, I will say. He did have Alfarius. He did have Fire Drakes as his rewards of treason unit. So, no slouches. Deep struck them in. And, of course, actually deep striking against tanks is a pretty good tactic because they can't shoot you because all my guns are mainly strength 8. So I didn't have a lot of defensive weapons. You're only going to get one reaction anyway. And foolishly, I moved my Sicarian Arcus in the movement phase rather than keeping it still so it could use its targeting array to shoot anything that deep struck. So, yeah, I was a bit rusty. I should have left it where it was and then shot him as he came in. But anyway, long story short, over the course of the battle, I had a lot of strength 8 stuff with the melter predators, the Sicarians, the big old Fellblade.
Mm-hmm.
But he did have, he had a Leviathan that he deep struck in, so it wasn't all plain sailing. I had to do some work. Basically, what I did was ignore the Leviathan and kind of drove stuff at it to keep it out of the way while I dealt with the rest of his army and killed everything. So I think at the end he just had Alfarius and the Leviathan left. So it was a good game. It was good fun. It was a nice guy to play against. And that's always, we know we've talked about this before, but that first game in anything is super important because it really sets the tone. If you have a bad first game, you're going to have a bad second game, I think. So that was cool. Mr. B, what a lovely guy. Do you know what Mr. B did? He went and bought me lunch and brought it to my didn't I? Yeah, brought it to the table because he said you're probably not going to get a chance for lunch because you're playing. And I thought it was a very nice gesture, Mr. B.
Yeah, I just nipped out to Tesco's and grabbed a meal deal for you.
What a lovely guy.
It was a very nice gesture. It was a gesture that I didn't think of.
So yeah, thank you.
I'm sure you would have.
Yeah.
Rob, I would have got you something, but I knew you were milling around and you had plenty of opportunity yourself. I just saw the price.
I ended
of the
up in
food
Aldi in Manchester City Centre.
Yeah, I just saw the price of the food in there, and Graham, I didn't know what the schedule was for Graham. I kept forgetting if he had 2 or 3 games, so I was like, right, given that a hot dog costs a fortune, although they did actually look not that bad, the hot dogs, but never mind.
For £6.50, it wants to look pretty chuffing, bloody spectacular. Never mind, not bad.
It did look pretty good, but I was like, I don't know what the queues are going to be like because they're already pretty bad.
For £6.50, Leeds Christmas Market, you can go and get a hot dog that's a 1.5 feet long that's cooked for you on a barbecue buying actual German.
Yes, you can in Newcastle as well. But anyway.
So that was game 1. So I won that one. I was like, okay, cool.
It was 4 hours for a game, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah,
that's a good time to have a nice, relaxed game.
It was pretty chilled, to be fair. There wasn't a huge amount of pressure there. And I think after that game, we went and got a cup of tea. We went and got a coffee from Costa or somewhere, didn't we, down the road, which was nice, with a nice slice of cake. And then I came back for the second game. And so this was, obviously, they'd looked at the army list and went, oh, tanks, eh? We've got another person with a load of tanks. But that person happens to be Craft World Death Guard.
As we're now naming it.
Them.
Craft World Barbarous.
Absolutely ridiculous. So I know, obviously, people will say, oh, Graham, you just moan about armies that beat you, which, of course, I do. I won't lie. But there's something, and I don't think it's just me, that doesn't feel quite right when a Death Guard tank can move its full movement and shoot all of its las cannons without any penalty. It just doesn't.
Not how the Death Guard rule was intended.
It just doesn't feel right. So things like Land Raiders suddenly become absolutely boss because they're Armour 14 zipping around at full movement, firing all 3 las cannons, or 2 las cannons and 1 twin link las cannon. And there was basically they're like massive sabers, and you just can't stop them. So he had loads of these, had loads of predators. I took the super heavy, right? And I know people are going to say, "Oh, you shouldn't take super heavy because they're not worth the points." Then absolutely not worth the points. 650 points I could have bought.
But they look good.
Exactly right. And I thought I've got a theme for this, which was these were like the honor guard for this ancient fell blade that they rescued off of
Calth or
something like that. And so basically they were this is like a revered tank that saved Gulliman in the past, and so they wanted to get it off world. So this is the squad that went to retrieve them. So I thought as a narrative event, I have a backstory. Never got to share it with anybody. But anyway, this Death Guard army was ferocious. So it was all tanks. I think he had 3 tactical squads in the Land Raiders. But yeah, wall-to-wall Predators. I'll tell you what is a good weapon now that I'd had overlooked in the past. So it's always good to go to these things to get a eye opener for some of the meta. The plasma cannon on the Predator. What range do you think it is?
Oh, it's gone up a lot. It used to be it used to be like 24?
60. So this thing is 60-inch range, right? 5-inch blast, but it's I think it's rending 4 plus. So we're talking about the 12 about how to deal with the 10-man las cannon squad.
That's how you deal with the 10-man las cannon squad.
Because you can outrange it.
Yeah.
So you could basically outrange that thing. Even if he starts to, put his wounds on the sergeant, he's still going to get some AP2 in there 50% of the time. So yeah, I was like, whoa, that's really good. This is one I did think was a little bit cheeky, and there's probably some Aunt Sally-ness going on here. The Whirlwind Scorpius says that if you don't move the model and you fire the guns on it, then it's a strength 7 rending 4 plus. If you don't move the model, and the argument is, well, the Death Guard said it was counter stationary. So basically, you've then got a barrage running around going 14 and firing its barrage weapon like the Eldar, basically.
No, it shouldn't be though, should it?
I mean, the rules is written, fair play, nothing we can do about it. It's but I do think it feels a little bit naughty. Not that I'm saying it's a bad thing. I'm just thinking it's not the person's fault by any stretch of the imagination. He was a lovely player, but he absolutely wiped the floor with me. I think by the end of it, I had 2 Caesarean left. That was it. Basically, the whole army was gone.
There was no chill in his list at all.
Yeah, and there was 0 fat. It was a classic kind of Warhammer world list.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been a hell of a lot worse. It could have had 5 dreadnoughts in it.
Yeah, I mean that's true. 5 dreadnoughts with lascannons would probably have been. So it was nice to play something different. But if you're going to play tanks, it's going to be that's the army to beat, because boy oh boy, Predator cannons as well. The other thing is, you have those games where you cannot get a 5 or a 6.
Yeah.
On
yes,
the armor.
Very much so.
Yeah, I was going to say they're the ones where Michael turns up and takes his army out of the case.
Yeah, where you've hit with
that was my Friday night, wasn't it?
Yeah, you've hit with a melter cannon. You've got a penetrating hit. All you need is a 5 to blow the thing up. 2s, 3 2s or something. And then when he's got a predator cannon that's rending on 6s, there's like 3 6s, and then he rolls a 6 again, and your things immobilized or destroyed or whatever. And it's just like, there's nothing. This doesn't feel fair. Why do the dice gods hate me so much?
I believe your actual phrase would suit very well from your 50th birthday weekend. That would be Patreon only. Why do I Patreon only word bother?
Yeah, I think that's fair, because it's just like, oh, come on, you're joking. Couldn't catch a break, couldn't blow anything up, and every time he got a penetrating hit, my tank seemed to go boom. So Gravis las cannons, the las cannon version of the Predator, all las cannons, another very good choice, I've got to say, for the points.
How does it compare to the Laser Vindicator?
I don't think it's as good. I think the Vindicator is still the better tank, because the Laser Vindicator has got 13 front and 13 side, which puts it, which is only 12 side on the Predator. So I think that gives it the edge. But yeah, I think it's total number. I mean, that's got 4 las cannon shots as opposed to 3, but they're not ordnance and they're not twin linked. So I think
not turret mounted though either.
No, but you can probably move your tank where you need it to go most of the time, to be honest with you. Another thing that was interesting was with the searchlight. This is an interesting one. Again, another rules thing. every time you shoot at something, and because he was positioning his Land Raiders so that one gun was going one place, Machine Spirit another gun the other place, and the other sponson couldn't see what the front gun was shooting at, so it could shoot at something else. So it's effectively 3 targets from one tank. And if you've got a searchlight, it illuminates all 3. Which I thought,
so one searchlight can shoot in 3 directions.
Yeah, it's basically whenever you make a shooting attack, I believe. I didn't check the rules in too much detail at the time.
Well, I've seen The Great Escape, and that's not how searchlights work.
No, that's how I think. But maybe it's like whoop, 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 3 searchlights. So yeah, basically searchlighting up with the because I said night fighting. I thought, yeah, damn right, I want night fighting against your army. So searchlights, using the searchlights to illuminate 3 things with that tank's pretty good because it's pretty resilient.
There's one for the FAQ then. Searchlight can only illuminate your primary target.
Yeah. So, yeah.
We did mention an FAQ, though, didn't we? i.e. an Edge of Empire FAQ.
We did actually, yeah, because part of some of this sort of Aunt Sally stuff. But, yeah, so anyway, suffice to say, Death Guard are super fast, ridiculously fast. And if I'm honest with you, if it was White Scars, I'd probably go Fair Play. Because their law is they're fast, right? They are quick across the plains. You could kind of justify it from a background point of view. I don't think Death Guard are that quick in the law. I mean, I'm not a law expert.
No, they are supposed to be the
they're ponderous, plodding, and relentless, aren't they? But they're not fast.
Not even Garrow's fast, and he's still a good one. The rest of them are supposed to be fat, rotten boys.
Yeah. So I'm not quite sure whether the rules that they've written for the Death Guard they've kind of gone, ooh, yeah, didn't think of that when we were playtesting it. They must have done.
The problem is when you because they put Legio Astartes on vehicles, which you need to have. Which I think that's the thing. You just
I don't think the Death Guard rule should apply to vehicles law-wise, but as you say, we can't.
I mean, for Imperial Fist, it's the same with Auto and Bolt. So Imperial Fist Kratos.
Yeah.
The big gun on the Kratos is an auto weapon.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
You've got Legio Astartes, so I mean, benefit.
Hit on twos.
Hit on 2s.
Not that it's that helpful.
Well, it is.
It's better than hitting on 3s.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. If you do is roll 1s,
if you roll 1s, you've had it anyway.
Well,
but
anyway, if you only needed to roll 1s, Mr. B, you'd find a way to get the dice not to hit the table, either that or to land on a corner.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, some interesting shenanigans there.
Searchlights, just very quickly. Yeah, it basically means the vehicle ignores 24-inch limit to line of sight imposed by night fighting when making shooting attacks.
Yeah. So basically, it doesn't. If you're making a shooting attack, which you are, you ignore the night fighting. So it's seriously.
Lights.
Yeah, and also that means that you're then illuminated, so the other things that haven't got a searchlight can then shoot you.
Okay. All right then. Should Rob go last? Because I think his news is a bit for this.
I didn't get any news until the Sunday.
Well, you know what I mean.
Exactly.
I think. Oh right. Okay. Oh, we're doing it day by
Saturday,
day.
I spent wandering around, going, okay. I'm wandering. Saturday was like my Fellowship of the Ring. There's a lot of walking, not a lot of happening.
Yeah. I mean, I can probably do my entire one just with the talking about the Saturday. So.
I mean, because you guys didn't have an event to take part in. So how did you? I mean, one of the big things I've seen third hand is that there wasn't actually a lot to do.
A lot.
No,
unless you were paying like money, but
there was a couple of there was maybe an hour or two's worth of stuff to do at best. There was the laser tag, which was an extra premium pay. So we didn't do that.
I regret not doing it because apparently it was awesome.
It's laser tag.
It was very quick, though. I read so.
Yeah.
Yes, but it still would have been something to do.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I think that, and I could probably sum up my whole feelings on the weekend in this. There wasn't a lot to do, and the things that were there to do, the queues were so long that you could fill a day just by queuing, which is very silly. I'll start with the shop.
That's not how you plan your event, though. What are people going to do? Stand and queue?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the shop, okay?
Right.
Because the shop, to me, is, honestly, it is the one thing that Games Workshop should be able to do without any issue at all, is take your money off you at a shop. They couldn't do that. They had very little stock out, and I mean very little stock. There was probably on the floor at any one time less Games Workshop stock than they have in the Sunderland store. They had one wall with Legion-specific upgrades and characters, but nothing resin for Horus Heresy, a few bits of Blood Bowl, not a lot, and that was it. And it was an hour and a half to pay, unless a staff member knew you were disabled and brought you to the front of the queue, like happened to me, which is not right, because it should be a case of there should have been a handicap thing if that was a case that's happening. It shouldn't be specific people, because I saw it happening to others, but it wasn't happening to other people. Very inconsistent that way. But it's silly. Why can't they take your money off you? Why wasn't there a good choice of shops? Now, if you look at the UK Games Expo and the amount of stuff they had there, very well organised. And the thing was, this shop was, you had a 2-meter gap between the shop and the single cabinet where they had models from the new 40k box set, a single cabinet, and then a 2-meter gap between for the queues for actually playing it. So you had everyone compressed into this really small space of some of the big stuff. The shop itself was really badly organised. There were objective markers.
It was organised?
No, there was no organisation at all for that shop. There was a table full of stuff that I thought was promotional material, and I thought, oh, those patches look nice. Pick them up, put them in my bag, find out when I get home, oh, they were meant to be £7.50, but they were nowhere near the bloody shop. And it's like, so I just nicked a couple of patches because I didn't know that they were meant to be sold. There was no pricing on them. There was no
pricing on anything in the entire shop when I went back on Monday, and it was dead. Yeah,
ridiculous.
I had a look round.
They had those. Did you see those neoprene objective markers?
I thought they were mouse mats, but yeah, okay.
They were meant to be 40 quid.
I wouldn't have paid 40 quid for them if they would have been printed on £20 notes.
Yeah, they weren't worth 40 quid. Says the man who has a pack.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you spend 40 quid on them?
No, they came up as 0 on my till receipt for some reason, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I spent a lot of money. I don't know, because they were giving them away free at the UK Games Expo.
So he defied the Brownian motion after that and didn't go near the store again.
Yeah, pretty much. I did not go near those again. So it was a bit pants in that respect.
I mean, the building itself, the venue itself, you've got to think. It's a fantastic venue. The main room, you could fit, if it was a gig venue, I reckon you could fit 10,000 people in there without batting an eyelid in that main room.
There was a few computer games. Okay, the computer games it had looked kind of cool. They actually got me into playing that Tactics game. It's not that bad. I thought it looked rubbish, but I was speaking with the community manager, and it was quite interesting. I didn't get to play Bolt Gun, the one game I really, really, really wanted to play. Didn't get to play it because every time I was there, how long's the queue? 3 hours for a 10-minute demo.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But if you weren't into tie-ins and mobile gaming, basically.
But even then, where were all the this might sound silly, but where were all the third-party licensees? Like, there are Cubicle 7 had a stall there, but they weren't selling anything. There was very few sources.
Is that the role play people?
The role playing games.
That was in the shop. I discovered that in the shop on the Monday when I could actually get to the shop.
Even on Saturday, there was a super limited number of books. So, and
they still had some left on Monday.
Yeah, 1 or 2 starter sets, and they weren't priced up. It wasn't clear what they were. Yeah, okay. It was just really, really badly organised.
There was the Titan Walk. That was pretty cool, I thought.
Oh, the Titan Walk was great. That looks great. The Squid Toss looked great. You could take
the Squid Toss was a carnival sideshow event that lasted about 30 seconds,
but still had an hour-long queue.
Squid Toss with Mr. B.
Think of Hooker Duck in the Mortal Realms, and you're about there. Only you didn't win a prize. It was
model painting. Again, our queue to get even in there.
Yeah.
It was just queue, not enough. I mean, for demoing 10th edition, why am I saying 5th edition? 10th edition, 40k, there were 5 tables.
5 tables for 14,000
people. At the last Warhammer
people,
Fest, there were 30 tables when they were demonstrating, I think it was Was it 8th edition, the last one I saw at a Warhammer Fest that they demoed? Oh, motorbike outside. But yeah, no.
You sure it's outside? It sounded like it just drove through your bathroom.
No, it was outside. I've got the window open because it's warm. But yeah, 30 tables they had at the last Warhammer Fest where they launched an edition of 30k. 5 at this one. It was... Right, I'm summing it up. That I had a fun weekend. And the reason I had a fun weekend is I got to meet up with people I haven't seen in quite a few years who live all over the country. I got to meet up with them. We had some drink, tea, natter, how you doing? What you been painting? Oh, let's see your models. Oh, yeah, you're a woman now for a couple of them, which was kind of interesting. But it was a good weekend because I got to meet with people. But I could have done that if we'd arranged to meet up at a pub in Birmingham. And it would have been a hell of a lot cheaper. So I don't know. It felt like they threw it together.
I think you do know, and I think you just don't want to say you know.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should. I think you should say. Prove to people that you can say something constructively critical.
I will say something constructively critical. If they could have repeated the 2019 event, which was fantastic, there was a goodie bag, it was reasonably priced, there was lots to do, loads of games to play, things to try, lots of licensees showing off new products, games you could play, absolutely tons of stuff. That would have been fantastic. This one was almost as bad as the last games day I went to, which the only activity that was there, apart from display tables, was a big shop.
There weren't even any display tables.
No, there weren't display tables. There were no studio staff to meet. It was...
Yeah, I think that was one of the biggest criticisms. Wasn't it? There's no studio staff, no black library authors.
It's the most Warhammer Fest that's ever Warhammered, or whatever it was. It was like, sorry, how can it be a Warhammer event without Dan Abnett? Like, is he still alive? Yes, then why isn't he here?
Well, we did have gentleman Justin Hill come and say hello to us, but as a paying
but he was a paying punter, though.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because I got 4. I bought 4 tickets essentially, 2 handicap tickets and 2 carer tickets. I had 4 surveys to respond with.
Yeah, I just did 1.
Oh, I'm going to fill out 4 of them. They're going to get the same opinion on every one of them.
What I should have done is copied them. I should have done my army list writing technique and copied and pasted my thoughts.
No. Sorry, Games Workshop, you can do better. You can do better.
They can do better.
I think like a lot of people that.
I was going to say that basically, I know that Duncan's left, Peachy left, Louisa's left, and they're now terrified of people becoming Warhammer celebrities, and rather than the collective effort of the design studio. So that's why the design studio aren't going, apparently. Problem is, what they're doing is they're forgetting that people like John Blanche, Rick Priestley, Jervis Johnson, Fat Bloke, all of them have been Warhammer celebrities as long as there's been Warhammer. There's always been celebrities from the design studio. That's how it works. That's how people work. If they remunerated their the faces of Warhammer, perhaps appropriately, these people wouldn't leave to go and make more money with less constraints in their own thing. If they let people engage, like, you've got your head of design studio, not exactly sure what Darren Latham's exact role is, but he was head of heavy metal at one point. He's massive in the design studio. Oh, come off YouTube, Darren. Too many people are following you.
I think he's just a miniatures designer. I think that literally is his job, just a miniatures
whatever it is. It's like, stop doing your YouTube videos. Too many people are following you. No. You let him do that because he's doing it in his own time for a start, and allow people to develop sort of a celebrity. Because if it had been, I'm not a massive Age of Sigmar person, right? But when the second edition one came out, I just happened to be at head office for a day. Not long after the second one came out, Duncan and Peachy walked through. I squealed like a '60s Beatles fan teenage girl. Immediately charged through the shop, picked up a copy of the book and went, "This is my excuse," and went and got them to sign it in Bugman's. And it's on the second edition rulebook, second edition Age of Sigmar rulebook, which has been opened when they opened it to sign it. I shut it again. I'm not sure it's ever been opened since.
Collector's item.
But the point is, I got it because I wanted something for them to sign. And people would have queued to talk to Dan Abnett. They didn't want to queue to talk to
think they were saying that they didn't have many demo tables because they were afraid of leaks of 10th edition.
But
So-
if you're gonna
so-
run
so
an
the-
event,
Is it their first day on the internet? Do they not understand that everybody who bought a ticket had a streaming platform in their pocket?
I mean, they were, I guess, but I think that maybe they just didn't want people beforehand to have, they 10 people, I suppose, 5 tables, so 5 people knowing the rules was clearly, enough for them. They didn't want it. That's what I don't know. By the way, that's not necessarily a fact. That's just what I've heard.
Why would we buy the game if we don't know the flipping rules? Why would we buy the game if they're not telling us what it plays like?
And you know for a fact they're going to send 10,000 copies of it out to everybody who runs a podcast apart from us.
Right. So we're getting slightly off topic onto Games Workshop's policy with content creation.
Yeah, let's just
Let's not open that particular wound.
Yeah. So let's I'll be the Mr. B, and let's get us back on the road of
Reason.
purely
All
Warhammer
right.
Fest as
Rob,
opposed to the bigger situation involving the GW.
Rob,
and
do you want to talk about the Paint Shack? Do you want to talk about your Golden Demon thing in Paint Shack, or do you want to do it here?
I'll do it here. I entered on the Friday. I
here.
put it in. I went and found it on the Saturday. I got told off by someone who was, while I was taking a picture of it, because he told me to go and queue, and I pointed out that it was my model that I painted, so he could do one. Because I wasn't
That wasn't
actually
a staff member, was it?
No, it was a punter.
Oh, thank goodness!
Not,
I was going
not
to say,
bothered. He told me I could.
You wanted to get something, didn't you?
No, he was like, "Oh, there's a queue, mate. Stouts around there." I'm like, "Yeah, that's wonderful, mate. I spent 200 hours painting this. Jog on. I'm just getting a picture." And then I toddled off and wandered off.
You know who I am. He was dicing with death there.
No, I wasn't bothered. It was fairly early in the day, but it was just the way that he kind of was like, "Oh, there's a queue." I'm like, "Yes," and I'm probably better at queuing than you are because I have pretty much limitless patience when I want something. So, but I don't have limitless patience for cretins.
So Mrs. Ing says anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, too right. Yeah, it was, I burbled about a bit. I came and saw what you were doing, didn't bring you any food. Wandered around for a bit more, came back to see what you were doing, didn't bring you any food. I did go and get you an ice cream though.
You did.
I qualified for food.
No, that was inspired by the fact that I came back, saw Mr. B had bought you some lunch, felt guilty, and was like, I should have done that, so I went and bought you an ice cream.
Rob, you were busy. I
wasn't busy. I was bored shitless. And you have to edit that.
I felt like I had my own little support team. It was great.
There was
I should have got a pro heresy player with me.
Graham was busy.
Support team.
Graham was busy. You were brownie and motioning your way around.
You probably would have sorted it. So one of us would have got him lunch. Yeah, I have no doubt about it.
Sorted something. But I was literally wandering around going, I don't play games on my phone. I've got all the Dark Heresy books from when that was done in the first edition Dark Heresy, so I don't want to buy a new roleplay system because I've got
Wrath and Glory is quite good, but I prefer the
yes, but I've got 3 foot thick of Dark Heresy with the main rulebook signed by Dan Abnett because he wrote the background. I am not going to buy Wrath and Glory.
I bought all
mine. This is not going to happen.
I buy all mine electronically, so I'm a heathen.
But literally, I was like, well, I don't do that. I don't want to queue for 2 hours to sit and paint a Primaris Marine because I could probably wander into one of the Manchester Games Workshops that will be absolutely dead, grab a Primaris Marine and paint that in there with infinitely less hassle. Despite me playing dumb or not playing dumb to the people at Golden Demon going, what does that mean? Trying to figure out what the various different stickers
in that tone of voice, I believe, as well.
Pretty much, yeah. I was like, I was going for the kind of, I went for the sort of mice and men approach of act stupid. What does that mean? I can't tell you. Oh, okay. And went back a little bit later when I saw it was a different set of staff. What does that mean? Can't tell you. Oh, okay.
Infinite patience. You did mention it previously.
Yeah, basically. But other than that, I was like, there is nothing to do. I saw 2 people that I knew, and I was expecting to bump into somebody every 5 seconds because it's I go down to head office and it takes me an hour to walk through bloody Bugman's. So I was expecting it to be something similar. We saw Pete Reese, I saw Leiden Proctor, and obviously we the insufferable one was burbling about, but he was doing something, whatever he was doing.
No idea.
But other than that, I didn't see anybody else. I was like, my God, I'm surrounded by strangers, and I'd literally gone.
Eric came and met us, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
I bumped into Eric, yes.
Yeah.
But I think we kind of. I said hello, and we were both going separate ways. So
I'd also gone fat bald bloke with a beard blind within about half an hour, so I couldn't distinguish person from person.
We didn't meet.
Yeah, when I was looking for Graham, the second game, I must have basically approached slightly balding fat bloke with a no offense, Graham, with a beard and glasses in a white t-shirt about half a dozen times.
Yeah, but we did meet Rob from the future, which was kind of scary.
Yeah, that was. I should have got a picture of that guy.
We really needed a picture of him. He was a bit freaked out by himself, though, so I think that's probably because he was effectively this chap turned up when I was playing. Rob was sitting down, and he looked like future Rob. He looked identical to Rob.
Identical.
Yeah, except
his beard was identical, but
grayer. And so he was like, "Have you got a message?" Rob said, "Have you got a message for me?" And he was like, "What?" Like,
and then you saw it twig, and it was like,
yeah, he thought it was pretty funny, but it did take him a little bit.
How did you fight your Thunderbolt thing, Rob?
Well, that was on Sunday. I didn't know that until
Should we talk about Sunday then?
Sunday rolls around. So Sunday is the Heresy reveal day.
Yeah, so we got there just about in time for that because we thought, well, there's no point getting there early again because there's nothing to do.
Yeah, what can we say about the It was badly organised. We only just got in.
Thanks to you, Mr. B.
Absolute mess. They told us, oh yeah, don't bother queuing until at least 1:15. We got there 12:30. The queue was already miles long.
Out the door, practically.
I ran in, managed.
Mr. B went to go and see what the queue was like, and then never came back. So I went to go and see what was happening, just to find him well and truly queued up.
And they were like, "Oh, we'll just see if these golden ticket holders actually turn up." And then it was like, "Okay, right. So I'm probably getting in because there's another 80 odd seats, depending on how many of these golden tickets who paid £1,000 to get in." Mind you, the actual package they got looked pretty good.
Still, £1,000 for 3 days.
Yeah, although apparently they were told, "Oh, you're going to get a codex of your choice," and then it turned out, "Oh, actually, you're going to get every 10th edition codex." But they had to be there at some point on the Sunday in their lounge to find out. So again, it's not that bad. It's not a bad price from what they had. Anyway,
they walked away with £1,000 of stuff, and they're going to get every
£1,500.
I think it was definitely. But anyway, because of this, Mr. B then said, "Well, my carer is not with me because I've run off like a naughty chap."
I said that to the woman who was managing the queue. I was like, "I need to go and get his carer. What have you done wandering off?" And I went, "I'm not his carer. I am with him, but I don't have his carer's ticket."
And you got counted. We kind of pushed Graham into the queue. That was good.
And then I stayed outside the eternity gate, basically.
Awesome.
Such criminals and rogues we are.
We really are terrible. Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, got in.
I got in because she said to me, she obviously noticed that I gave up my place for somebody else, and she was like, "We think we can fit some more in." So I was literally the last person they allowed in that.
Which is
because we're taking the golden ticket people, we had lovely seats right at the front.
Oh yeah, we got right at the front.
You did. I was sat on the stairs. My arse was numb like 5 minutes in.
Right, so reveals that we got.
Reveals.
We got the
plastic
new plastic Cerastic Lancer, which makes me hopeful that we're going to get more Cerastus.
It was a very muted response to that, wasn't it? Because I think what they should have done is said,
mine wasn't.
It's plastic at the start, because it was like, it's a Cerastus Knight.
No, but it was clearly obviously plastic right from the beginning, Rob.
Was it
Graham?
Yeah, yes. It's plastic. It was obviously It was obviously plastic, which means all they need to do all the different Cerastus is a separate sprue with the weapons and a head.
Yeah, that was an absolutely phenomenal.
If you're going to play, a lot of people who are that way inclined probably already have it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But have a version of it.
But probably don't have 6 of them to play a 3,000 point list.
But again,
but then you're going to be that guy and no one's going to want to pay you.
I don't play anyway.
I don't think they're all that, to be honest with you.
No, they're not. But again, it's this concentration on big models that are expensive, that are very popular with recasters. Yeah, so
We got some smaller models previewed, I believe.
oh yes, we did. But anyway, this Lancer, great. I'm going to get one, and I bet you, I'll bet you.
I'm going to get
I
one.
wouldn't even bet you this is going to be in the 40k codex.
I will be pre-ordering it the day it goes on general release from Element.
I suspect I will be. Okay, yeah. So we got preview 2 new characters for the Son of Horus.
Asa hadn't, the true son of Horus. I'm not sure Eddie, who was running the seminar, knew what a true son actually was, because he went down a route of it being him being a traditionalist. That's not what a true son is. But that's by the by.
Again, you've got the same guys running every seminar for every system. They might not get everything.
I turned out when I got in there that Eddie, who was running the seminar, was the staff member that I'd complained to about the ridiculous queue when it was obvious that loads of people weren't going to get in. Luckily, lots of people gave up.
Yes, I think that was the key. So lovely model. Yes, I actually quite like this.
Are you going to drop some pictures of it in here, Mr. B?
Yeah, I will drop some pictures in here. And then we've got Lord Castellan Evander Garius, who is like apparently just a bit of a Dawn and him don't get on apparently.
It's a beautiful model, though. Love it.
And we got
better looking one of the two.
Yeah. I might get the Imperial Fist fella and convert him because he's got a rather handily pre-sculpted wolf cloak across his shoulders, and it's easier to take off a few 7 symbols than it is to sculpt a whole bleeding wolf cloak.
No, it's a really nice model. Definitely will look at that. And then they spoke about some other things in the book, like there'll be inducti, but maybe that
sounds interesting. They do sound interesting.
Basically just people who've been like rushed
fast tracked,
Astartes.
Just ask the Revan Guard what could possibly go wrong.
Yeah, just people who've been fast tracked.
We got a time frame. We got an updated calendar for Heresy, didn't we?
Yes, we got that along with a where is it here? So the next thing, the Vindicator Siege Tank, which is the next thing to come out, along with Evander Garius and that variant Ashton, and I assume that includes the book.
The thing I like about the roadmap was they had plastic and resin as separate things.
Yes, I like that as well. New characters and upgrade to plastic. Brilliant. Knight Lancer in the summer. More Lords of War. I'm going to guess that's going to be more Knights. More Cerastus Knights.
I think that might be something coming in a Baneblade chassis in plastic, because I know the Super Heavies have just come back with their new sponson fittings. But I don't know whether that is a temporary quick fix.
I don't think so. The idea is that's going to be permanent from.
I think that'll be a while. I'll be perfectly honest. I think it's going to be a while until we see anything. Lord, I think that's going to be Cerastus, because that's going to. But you're really easy to do.
So we got this. I'm just going to try and speed things up a little bit.
Yes.
So we got the armor upgrades for all the other armor marks.
Armor mark upgrade.
So Mark 6 Assault Squad.
Yeah, they
melee
look
weapons.
interesting.
Command Squad.
They look
a Primarch. So we're going to wildly assume that maybe one of the Demon Primarchs.
Or Horus.
Not Horus.
Dawn.
Possibly.
I reckon it'll be Dawn.
Wouldn't really make sense, because I can't imagine he's in that book. Because
but
it doesn't
they're focusing so much on Dawn and
yeah.
The Imperial Fist and Sons of Horus.
Exactly. It's like, do we need more Imperial Fist and Sons of Horus there? Because there's a lot of stuff already for them. I think
it would make sense for them to start pumping out some of the, Fulgrim. He's one of the very old ones. He needs a demon form at some point.
Yeah,
I reckon he'll get plastic though.
Yeah, because I think he's going to be coming back in 40k, don't they? So
I reckon he'll get a plastic demon.
So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting.
What else was there? Mystery armor release. I'm hoping Sisters Silence.
Yeah, they said it's a non-Astartes.
Non-Astartes.
So yeah, Sisters Silence would be a good choice.
Or demons.
Or Mechanicum in plastic, maybe.
Dark mech.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, and then I think they snuck something in right at the very end, which was quite intriguing. Which was the which we all know is epic, basically, coming sort of heresy epic. So that would be super cool.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that if it does.
Yeah.
When that appears, as opposed to if it appears. But
Yes,
as previews
sorry,
go,
minor technical difficulty there, chaps. But yes, Heresy Epic, all the hype.
I think I wasn't massively over impressed. I mean, it was okay. I mean, it's good to see Assault Squads eventually, but everything seems such a long way away. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
All the interesting stuff seems to be.
You say it seems a long way away.
Assault Squad is winter. I mean, yeah, so that's at least 5 months, 6 months from now.
Yeah, whereas I think the game is kind of crying out for, and even I, as a long exponent of the tank army, I think we are definitely crying out for more infantry variation.
My connection went a bit dead. Did you discuss the new Mark II?
No, we didn't actually.
No, because it looks like Mark III.
It's not Mark III. It's Mark II.
It's got plates on the front.
It's a new updated Mark II. Mark II has a trolley plate as well.
Shall we discuss that next episode in State of the Union rather than take up the time?
We should, because we have to get on with the other stuff tonight.
Available.
Yeah, we've got other stuff to do tonight, guys.
Preview. You guys mooched around on Sunday.
We
Rob,
left straight after the preview, pretty much.
Yeah, you guys legged it. Rob, Sunday came the day of potential judgment, one way or another.
Yes.
And how did the gentleman fare?
Well, I tried my technique, and third time lucky. What does that mean? And it turned out that the people at the event, they quite liked my little toy aeroplane, and I made the final. So I had a finalist pin, which meant that I had to come, because we were coming home on the Sunday night, so which meant I had to get on the train to go back to Manchester on the Monday to see if I had got commended entry, which was the shortlist for the final, or was a sort of shortlist within the final. And then I wasn't allowed basically then to pick my model up. If you hadn't made the final, you could pick your model up on the Sunday, but if you were a finalist, you had to leave it until Monday, and you couldn't take it until Monday because there was more judging being done on the Sunday night, and only the commended entries, so only the shortlisted ones, were photographed. So you couldn't take them in case they needed to photograph you or photograph your model. But I was a bit emotional, to be fair. It was so like I just did my thing. I just kind of, it's a Thunderbolt. It's about 90% HB pencil and enamel washes, basically, if you look at it. But somebody obviously likes HB pencil and enamel washes. So yeah, I was super chuffed, and my finalist pin is on my jacket and is moving from jacket to jacket. Nobody noticed it when I went into GW York briefly on Sunday, but there was there was hardly anybody there. So
shocking. Well, there you go. Don't you know who I am? Yeah. I've got a Golden Demon finalist pin, don't you know? But anyway, yeah, it was lovely to see, and it was all the sort of stress and anxiety of the weekend that Rod had been experiencing sort of released when he came back to say he actually made the final.
Scarily good stuff there.
There was some great stuff there. What was it that one? Oh, it was a Predator. Death Guard again. See, they're a curse.
Death Guard Predator. Yeah.
Death Guard Predator.
It was nice. I clocked that as soon as we went in. I was like, that's one.
It was nice, wasn't it? But the glaive that I thought was quite good didn't get anywhere, did it? Didn't even get through to the.
No, it didn't. It didn't final. I don't think, did the glaive.
No, very strange. But yeah. So, would we go again? That's probably the big question. I think is that in its current form, I don't think it's worth the money.
I think if it's in that venue again, because the venue was brilliant. But instead of those mucky windows at the back, that needs to be some kind of like giant screen, and they need to do the seminars so that everybody can see them. And if you just get the audio on Twitch or whatever, or if they do closed loop, if it's got that kind of facility built into the venue, brilliant.
Already checked that one. It does.
I thought that was a big screen at the back of the room. Turns out it was just a mucky window with some light coming through it, which was a bit of a shame. The venue itself, I think, is perfect for it. I think they need to utilise it better. If it was at that venue, I would go again, but I would instantly buy a full weekend ticket because it's cheaper than buying the 3 days that I ended up doing. But I would go see what I wanted to see, and I would have a weekend in Manchester. I would probably spend as much time at Element as I did at Warhammer Fest, because I want to enter Golden Demon again. And I will be entering Golden Demon again.
As you should.
But it would be a case of, can I drop it off on the Friday? Brilliant. Drop it off on the Friday. Turn up Saturday night or Saturday afternoon and go, right, do I need to take it home yet? Yes, no, right, okay. And base it from there.
I think I would have rather probably gone to like a Road to Terror event at Element Games. I think they run them there, don't they?
I didn't go, and the fact that I was intrigued by going because dice, and also it was a narrative event, and that was an idea that I quite liked the idea of. The fact that it's book commissions just puts me off even more wanting to attend GW events.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I don't know. If I could be sure they would learn their lessons and basically,
I think that's the problem.
This is the company that make the rules and make the missions.
Yeah,
someone could go.
I'm not talking about the actual games. I'm talking about the event, because I didn't play in the game, so I can't comment on them. But if they learn their lessons from the event and it returns to what it was before the pandemic, maybe. But this felt like queues and just how much money can we drain out of you while making you stay in queues.
It was basically paying money to stand in queues most of the time.
But if it was a case of it happens again, I might be a case of I'll buy a day ticket, but then I will arrange with people, instead of being at Warhammer Fest, we'll go up to Element Games on the Sunday and Monday, and we'll just play games there.
Yeah. So anyway, all in all,
sure.
The game,
I think if it was in Manchester again, I might just get in 3 days. I might just do 3 train tickets because it's only an hour. It's only an hour from me, hour and 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Given the travel, I think we could have got into Manchester Piccadilly Station, which is a 10-minute walk or 15-minute walk to that venue.
Actually, from the train station almost directly opposite.
Yeah, venue. It was directly parallel. So you just needed to basically cross 2 streets and walk down a bit. We could get there from my house as quick as we got from that house.
I wouldn't mind spending the time in Manchester again, but as I said, I'd be going up to Element Games with people, arranging to meet them there because you're much more likely going to have a good time there. And
I was joking with people in the queue saying you do realise you could walk to Element Games, buy it for cheaper, and get back here probably quicker than you're going to be stood in that queue for.
Yeah, I know some people did do that actually. So.
Yeah. Anyway,
okay. Should we move on because we've got a lot of militia to talk about?
We have.
Have we? Is there a lot in it?
A bit.
There's a fair chunk.
There's enough.
Okay, right. We're now working through the crunch of the militia. There's no real fluff because it's whatever you want to do, isn't it? It's just.
I think there is some fluff there. Yeah. I think that I think a bit of the front was pretty good. I took some inspiration for that. From
the article's good, but again, militia is your dudes. Go wild with whatever models you want to do, and hopefully,
often a sentence I live my life by.
Yeah,
your dudes go wild.
Yeah. So let's start off. We'll go back through the units, but we'll keep this relatively simple. We're not going to go in depth on each unit because it's an army where I don't think it's we're going to be here for hours if we analyze them in depth to the standard Graham likes to analyze every unit.
I'm shocked that we're talking about it in just throwing stuff away when there's some serious meat and potatoes to discuss about.
There is, but we do have to go to bed at some point.
Go on.
Okay, so I'll start off with the Force Commander. This is you have to take these because you've got your provenances, which you had in the last edition, except this time they're free. Don't take militia without a provenance, so you must take a Force Commander. It's basically the compulsory unit. He's weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 3, initiative 3. He ain't winning any battles, but you've got an option to take Marcher Lord, which gives him battle hardened, so that gives him a bit survivability against instant death, I think.
No more than a Marine.
No more than a Marine, but it's a
it
little
does some
bit
other
more.
things as well. Marcher Lord is super cool. Because it also means that if they're part of it, if the army they're part of includes only detached with Imperialist militia faction, then all friendly units are immune to the effects of fear.
Yeah, which is a big deal with.
That is pretty good.
Marcher Lord's not that bad, but I would say you do want to consider that.
As long as the Warlord is alive, the first pinning test made by the controlling player in any game turn is automatically successful. I mean,
it's pretty good.
Additional shooting reaction.
Yeah.
Also, probably the best place to have a reaction if you've got a shooting army, of course.
Well, it's militia.
Mind you, even if you haven't, that still gives you 2 evades rather than 1. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good kind of warlord trait, if you like.
The set of warlord traits they've got are actually pretty cool.
I would agree actually.
Yeah.
And they're themey.
Yes.
So I think that they segue nicely with the type of army you want to build.
Yeah.
Which I think is you can get a good warlord trait, which then links to the provenance, which then links to your army. And when I was building my army, I kind of had from that. I kind of had an idea. I basically took what the army I wanted from the provenance. I think that's cool, and that's cool. So that's the sort of army I'm going to build, which I think is a nice way of doing things as opposed to what we normally do with legions, which is that's the legion, that's what it's good at, that's what I'm going to focus on.
You've got a bigger toolkit here. So, and that
does anybody else find it easier to write a themey army with militia than they would do with, say, Legion of Astartes? Because I did. I've got to be honest with you. I was like taking some inspiration from what they'd written there. It kind of helped me make a.
I knew what I wanted.
Not a competitive list, but a very themey list.
I saw a pre-existing setup, and the provenances this time round seemed a little bit more fluid than they used to.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. The whole, like you say, the whole thing kind of just before it was like it just felt you were up against a wall and you were kind of trying to wheedle away in. This time round, things just felt a little bit looser.
Yeah.
So shall we have a look at
these?
these?
You go from.
Yeah. Shall we have a look at these provenances then?
There are more of them, aren't there?
There are a few more of them, yes. So we'll start off. We'll go through these one by one. We're not, again, it's not a big thing, but if we want to start with Rob, do you want to? You've highlighted Warrior Elite there, so do you want to start off with that?
It wasn't me that highlighted it, but that's fine. Warrior Elite's pretty much the same as it used to be. +1 leadership. Grenadiers can be taken as compulsory troops, and then levy squads become support units.
So it's worth pointing out that you can take 2 provenances of war, can't you?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
2.
Yeah,
You can't mix and match any with any. There are some limitations.
Some have limitations. Yeah. But to put
+1 leadership's handy.
But to put that in context, levies are conscripts. Grenadiers are basically stormtroopers, sort of.
Yeah.
Chris, what about legacy?
The legacy, so Grenadier, Imperial Mission Command Cadre, Discipline Masters, all increase their ballistic skill by 1 to a maximum of 4. And the Force Commander has initiative to 5.
Yep.
So super cool.
Discipline Masters
Space
are
Marine
basically
Commissars, effectively.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, effectively, this is the 4th edition Imperial Fist book, Imperial Guard book.
Yeah.
It's kind of
necessarily a bad thing. Okay, Graham.
No.
Let's touch on the next one.
Yeah, so clan folk levy, so cavalry become compulsory troops. So they can be filled with compulsory troop choice and get +1 to their leadership, plus an extra 4 fast attack squad for only cavalry. So basically, you can take 4 fast attack choices, but they have to be filled by
So you
cavalry.
get an extra 4. You can take
Extra
7.
7 in total. Wasn't sure whether the cavalry get line though. I think they're just compulsory, aren't they?
No,
yes,
they don't.
No, they don't get line.
So they're not
They don't get
scoring.
line. No,
There's
which
very-
means you're not interested in them.
There's not a lot of times that stuff becomes line that isn't normally line.
Yeah, there's not
That's
a lot.
true.
There's
Well,
not
that's
a
the thing,
lot of that
because
happening.
the Grenadiers, they have line, and they go
Yes.
from a support squad to a troop choice, to a normal troop choice,
Yeah,
which is
Yeah.
super useful.
Yeah.
yeah, very much so.
Okay, gene crafted. So on this one, it's a bit random. You roll a d6 for each unit. 2 to 5, the unit gets fleet 2, move through cover, or night vision. If you roll a 6+, you get all of that, or you can either have relentless, stubborn, or adamantium will 6+. But on a 1, the unit starts as pinned. So there's a little bit of risk in this one.
Yeah, I can't see
Not
many
terrible.
people. I mean, it's not awful. It's quite themey. But the fact that it's that you start for each game, like, yeah, gene crafted by people who aren't very good at gene crafting, it would appear, if you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, I
But
mean, to be
that
fair,
seems fair.
that was
Yeah.
that was the kind of gene crafting that's going on with the kind of normal squads there.
Yeah,
It was
definitely.
just sort of right. We're gonna do this. We don't know. It should be good, but we don't know.
In the previous version, you got something really cool, and there was no downside. Basically, you can make your normal people as good as Space Marines, kind of. So it's nice that they've made it a little bit more risky. Cool. Next one, Cyber Augmentica. So you get full field of pain 6+. Assuming that you've got bits of metal in you. Mechanica can become Swarm Brothers, and all models are slow and purposeful. So can't run, can't sweep in advance. So yeah, there are some downsides to that. Field of pain 6+. I'd also suggest that your toughness 3. So anything strength 6. So basically stronger than a heavy bolter, and you're not getting that field of pain anyway. So just a heads up.
But for a big,
But for against Fury of the
big
Legion,
letdown.
What was that, mate?
For not being able to, for having slow and purposeful, for saying that you're rarely ever going to get the advantage of.
Yeah,
It's kind of,
yeah,
it's a tough,
Yeah.
tough.
toughy.
All Chem Jackers.
Sounds like a sort of baseball
Yeah.
team from
They
Chem
were-
Jackers.
they were a
Arizona.
hell of a band. I've got them as a early 2000s dance duo.
yeah,
You know,
Oh, yeah,
or
that's-
early 2000s pop punk band.
No, I think the
Yeah.
dance like two Unlimited or something. That kind of the All Chem
Yeah,
Jackers.
the Alchem
Yeah,
Jackers.
yeah, nice. Okay, cool.
All units with this prominence do not suffer negative modifiers to their leadership characteristic in the assault phase. And in addition, if less than half the models in the unit have been removed from casualties and a morale check is made for it due to casualty in the shooting phase has failed, they become pinned instead of falling back. Because
Not
they
bad.
are out of their minds.
Yeah, and they get the option for froze on, don't they?
Friends on, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
friends on, so they can get Furious Charge for 25 points a unit.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
Survivors of the Dark Age. 10-man Grenadier and command cadres can take a Rhino, Termite, Land Raider Proteus carrier as a dedicated transport. And for 20 points a unit, recon squads can take jetpacks. Now, interestingly, this is literally the only way you can get a dedicated transport in your list. There are no dedicated transports at all in this list.
It's worth pointing out that the ones that you do get become third line. which
Yes,
is one of
we
the
should probably mention that. A lot of them become
rules.
third line. So,
You should definitely mention
Rob,
that.
would you like to introduce us to the third line?
I will. Let me just bring that up
Sorry.
because I was
Just
waiting to
shocking.
do the next provenance.
Do you want me to? I've got it to hand. If you want.
If Chris has got his hands, you go for
Yeah,
it.
if Chris has got it to hand, I'm just finding my way to it.
The following rule applies to all. So, when an armed penetration roll would inflict a glancing hit on a model with this unit subtype, it instead inflicts a penetrating hit because it's flimsy as.
It's knackered and
Enemy
broken.
player, may never score victory points for the destruction of a model with this unit subtype. This includes models with the unit subtype that are selected as Lords of War.
So,
Because yes, your Lords of War get it as well.
so yeah,
Your one choice of Lord of War.
it's getting basically, but you're getting, unfortunately, penetrating hits with that lovely armor 14 on 5s and 6s, not just 6s. So, yikes! And your
scary.
Lehman Russes, of course. But, in for a penny, in for a pound. And again, it's quite themey insofar as the stuff that they got was rubbish. And, the way that they were kind of...
Previously, Militia was like...
cannon fodder, aren't they, effectively?
Previously, the Militia was like the Imperial Army, as was. This isn't. This is very much the first 2 books of the Siege. This is literally Jeff from Accounts, who's been told to stand behind that wall with a lasgun that hasn't been shot for 300 years. But you stand there and soak up some bullets that Horus is going to throw at us, Jeff.
Yes. Basically, you're there to reduce the number of bullets they have to shoot at the things that really matter.
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Such as, and they do say war never changes.
No,
yes.
The next one I do quite like.
I'll just interrupt you a little bit. I would like to say that it feels like Solar Auxilia became the standard Imperial Army, and Militia have become the whatever else.
Jeff from Accounts. Sydney from HR.
I think that's fair and right, because in the previous edition, the Militia Army were infinitely better at everything than the Solar Auxilia.
Tanks had the sponsons and all that.
Yeah, I mean, you can make weapon skill, ballistic skill, toughness,
4.
I think 4. So basically Space Marines, you could give them practically 3+ armor.
You could give them bolters.
Yeah, you give them bolts. You could
give them rhinos.
Everything and they were really good at it. And like the Ogrins were better. Everything was better. Yeah. So I'm glad that they put some clear daylight between the two.
Okay, Rob, what are the Feral Warriors like?
I'm not going to do that. I'm doing Armory of Old Night too.
Oh yeah, of course.
I know why you want to do it, but tough.
No, I don't. Sorry.
So this is one I do like, because for 30 points, you can replace your las guns with las rifles for free, gives you a little bit of extra range. But for 30 points, grenadiers or command cadres can take assault needlers or Volkite chargers, or swap las pistols for needle pistols or Volkite serpentas. You can also take Volkite culverins in the unit instead of your special weapons. So instead of your grenadier unit, instead of 2 plasma guns, you can take 2 Volkite culverins. So
nice.
The thing with las rifles is, though, they are heavy.
They are heavy.
Yeah, so they are good, and you can make them strength 6, but they are heavy. Like I say, you're not going to move them far and then they stand there and shoot.
I would rather, considering how fast the game is now with movement, I'd rather have something that's a 15-inch range but strength 5, 2 shots, i.e. a Volkite culverin, or Volkite
assault
charger, rather than a las gun that's heavy.
I think that's probably it. But bear in mind, their ballistic skill is terrible, and this is the thing. The ballistic skill.
You're doubling your shots with the Volkite one as well, though, because you've got assault 2.
It's a good point.
And death rate always a winner.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if you're going to do it and you had the money, you'd be Volkite chargers all around, wouldn't you? And you'd basically be a little bit like slightly worse Venetaris from the Solar Auxilia. Cool.
Well, if you've got them as thingy warriors, they're ballistical 4.
Yeah, true.
So
yeah,
but again, it's looking to combine as much as possible to get that.
It is, it's getting that synergy, that sort of army that you want. Feral Warriors, so you gain +1 weapon skill on the charge and can take chain axes for points.
I like this one.
Don't get them for free. Must charge if you're within 12, which is never a downside to a close combat army. No matter how many times.
So when that Chaos Beastman that was previewed comes out in a whole box of like 20 of them, this is what you take.
They are coming out this weekend. Only. Oh no, they were out last weekend in a box set that nobody got hold of.
Okay.
So the thing is, with that, the only downside is your opponent. I'm just thinking of a reaction where he could move a unit towards.
Yeah, he just kites you around the board.
Yeah, that's the thing you can do with it. Is you can just kite them around the board. But I've never really. I mean, World Eaters have a kind of similar problem, but I've never seen it really done effectively because, to be fair, once they charge you, it's all over anyway.
You used to be able to do it with my wolves with how that worked, but I started playing Warhammer with a Khorne army who had it, so you soon learn to stay out of that range and like to determine your own movement phase. But it'd be an easy one for people to trip over when they were first starting with the army.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to charge them, basically, if they end up within 12 at the end of the at the end of the phase. So
Yeah.
it's not a massive downside. And if you're feral warriors anyway, your bonuses are all in the assault phase. You're going to want to charge, generally speaking, unless it's, of course, it's a dreadnought. But then, there's ways and means that you would deal with that.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Who's next? Mr. B, Kinfolk Helots?
Yeah, I can go. Kinfolk Helots get +1 toughness. Characters gain Battlesmith, drop movement by -1. You can't take Ogrins, and Marines and Auxilia now treated as distrusted allies.
Squads.
Did you see? Yeah, there's a few of these which, if you do take them, you will always be distrusted allies.
Yeah,
it's right.
like
right
the
at the beginning.
cyber augmetics. I think I forgot to say Mechanicum Swarm Brothers with that list.
No,
you did
mention
mention it. You did mention.
Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely some. So basically, I think it's some of these things. So Kinfolk Helots, Abhuman Musters, or Ogrin conscripts.
The Battlesmith doesn't. With the name, the Battlesmith doesn't sort of. Yeah, it's not kind of.
It's squads.
Yeah.
Oh, Kinfolk. Yes.
It's the Hearthguard. It's old squat Hearthguard. It's squats.
Yeah.
Or anyone that works on a
You're
manufacturer.
giving me ideas now. Can I go and
Yeah.
rewrite my list?
So, but if you have those, you will always be a distrusted ally. So basically, if you ally up with Space Marines, they will hate you regardless because
Never
you're
trust a
Also,
Tunti.
It's the only way you can get a Battlesmith in this army as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure enough. Yeah,
Which is fine because there's not a lot of tanks kicking about, but
Not really.
still.
Well, actually,
And the ones that you have got tinfoil on them anyway. So.
yeah, they're made of balsa wood.
You need
Okay.
more than bleeding Battlesmith to fix a third line Lehman
Okay.
Ross, tell you that.
Okay, who's
Have you-
taking Abhuman Muster?
I'll give that one a run round the block. Get +1 strength. Characters get Hammer of Wrath 1, and independent characters get Hammer of Wrath 2. Models are bulky. -1 ballistic skill. And I'm going to read the proper thing there rather than your abridged notes, I think, Mr. B.
Yeah, my notes were. It's been a week, and I haven't got the notes
skill
done in the
-1.
best way that I would like to.
bulky
where-
too.
Where are we? Abhuman Helots. Yeah. Abhuman Muster. Low ballistic skill, bulky X. Okay, bulky. Sorry, yeah. Particularly the bulky X, the rule gain bulky 2 special rule. With this provenance and character unit subtypes game Hammer of Wrath, which you talked about. What else have we got here? Or if they also have the independent character special rule or the monstrous subtype game Hammer of Wrath 2. So your Ogrins, I think, get Hammer of Wrath 2. May not be chosen as part of conjunction with the Ogrin conscripts provenance. So yeah, just a heads up there.
Spoiler alert,
Ogrin.
Ogrin conscripts provenance.
Yeah. So this is actually pretty useful, this one. Who's going to talk about this?
It
You're gonna
is.
start punching.
Go on then, Chris.
Debased rabble, which seems oddly appropriate. This province may be set by army with the traitor allegiance, and there's a couple of those.
Great death metal band, by the way.
Debased rabble, they really were.
Well, they'd have one of those kind of logos that you can't actually read what the hell the band name is.
Just looks like a pile of firewood.
Yeah, someone just chucked it on a black background. Yeah, one of those.
Unless you kind of squint, turn the album sleeve on its side.
Yeah. Okay. Debased rabble.
Debased
Nice.
rabble. Okay, well, we'll work on them for next time.
Yeah.
All eligible units and models of this province gain the Crusader and Hatred Everything special rules.
Magic.
How the robbing rule, as we call it. However, they must always declare a charge targeting an enemy if they are able. Grenadier squads may not be taken in the detachment which is its provenance, and this provenance may not be used in conjunction with survivors of the Dark Age.
Yeah, nice one. We missed our Ogrin conscripts out, I think.
We
No,
did.
they're further down. They're
I think
on
you're
the-
reading the official list rather than Mr. B's list.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I am. Yeah.
Apologies.
So Ogrin conscripts, basically, Ogrins are troops and get line.
Super useful.
And Ogrins are quite tasty.
Yeah.
Discipline masters, medics, and force commanders can join Ogrin squads, but Marines and Auxilia are now distrusted allies because,
Meh. No,
you know,
massive deal.
meh.
Yeah,
I mean, that's quite cool.
that is cool.
I quite like that. I mean,
Ogrins as troops.
I love the old sort of like 3rd and 4th ed Ogrin models with the Ripper guns and whatnot, and you can buy them. Do they call it a Ripper gun still? But it's
Yes,
basically
Ripper
a
gun.
It's basically
It is a ripper gun in the list.
Yeah,
Good.
to put it in the list. Cool. Industrial strongholds we've got next. So Lehman Russes comes in squads of 6 effectively. So
Mhm.
at the moment, go on, Chris.
And there is another bit as well.
Yeah, and they get 2 heavy support slots just for them.
So does that mean 5 in total?
They get-
a bit like the fast attack.
They get
for
2 additional. Yeah, they get
get 2
5
more,
yeah.
in total, and 2 of them have to be assigned to the Russes. So you could have
You could have 24 Lehman Russ in an army.
3 heavy
half
support
as good
shots.
as
Yeah.
Oh no, 30
other-
of them. Yeah, 5 sixes.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. So
30.
30 Russes.
30 Russes.
120 points, though. You already have 3,000.
Graham's
Yes,
like,
it's-
that's just a kill team, 30 Lehman Russes.
It's just that's a minor drop in the ocean. But yeah, so that's a good. I mean, it just makes the squads bigger. Doesn't mean the troops or anything. So there's no tank commander here, my friends.
And they've still got third line.
Absolutely. So sniff at them and they break. Can't be taken with unending horde, debased rabble, tainted flesh, or grim conscripts. It's the other part.
Yeah. You cannot do the war crime list with this militia book or this militia list.
No, which is no bad thing. Okay, who's next? Who wants to talk about the unending horde?
I'll do. Speaking of the war crime list, unending horde. Infantry and levy squads are returned to reserves when destroyed, but medics and discipline masters that are attached to them don't come back. Grenadiers become elites. So basically, you take a 50-man levy squad, you wipe it out, and it goes into reserve. So it's kind of worse. It's kind of worse than the war crime list
It
in
is,
some way, but levy squads are literally bullet stoppers. Like, they're not going to shoot you back. They're like BS2. They're not going to hit you back. They're like weapon skill. They're like, but there will be more bodies than a lot of armies can put out shots.
Yeah,
So-
it's on the roll of on a result equal to greater than the value in the brackets. The unit is then returned. I don't think it happens automatically, does it? So when a unit implies the titled models with the special rule has its last model removed as a casualty, the controlling player may choose to roll a d6 on a result equal to or greater than the value in brackets. If it's got endless horde X, whatever that is. So they've got endless horde 4+. So on 4+, they basically go into reserves.
Right, still not bad for a 50-strong unit.
50-50 chance of them coming back, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that could wreck somebody's day if you've got a big old levy squad.
Yeah,
So,
if you
nice
think
one.
infantry squads, they come in 20s, but you can take 3 for one unit.
Yeah,
So that could be 60 infantry. That's times that by 6. That's 360 infantry
nice.
that potentially keep coming back
Yes, fun.
in the sun. So
Till my daddy took the T-bird away. Okay.
I was going to say drinking fresh mango juice, but fair enough.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
So we skip debased rabble now because we've done that one. And does Mr. B want to tell us all about his tainted flesh?
Yeah,
There
these
was a
guys
man to
get
talk about tainted flesh.
Fear 1, Furious Charge 1, compulsory troops must be levy squads, can't have more infantry squads with an infantry type than it has levy squads. So
squads, yeah.
if you've got to have more levies, it's equal or more levy squads as any other infantry. Can only take force commanders and rogue psychers as HQs, and cannot be combined with survivors of the Dark Age, gene-crafted Ogren conscripts, and Alchem jackers. And those last two, debased raffles and tainted flesh, are both traitor only.
Yes. Fabulous.
All right. So how about we head in and talk about the rest of the units then, Rob?
Yeah, so discipline masters first off the line, basically like proto commissar type characters. They boost your army's morale, which is handy because their leadership is rubbish. You can take up to 12 in one slot, and then your individual assign them to units. They work a bit like medics, just they hurt you if you don't do what you're told rather than fix you. They let you re-roll morale checks at the cost of D3 wounds. So, if it's a 50-strong levy squad, you're not going to be worried about it. But,
Yeah, and it's no AP to that wound as well, so
that's
you
true.
might save them.
You might save them.
Just whack you on the head with a big stick.
Mm.
Okay.
Christopher, do you want to tell us about the command cadre?
Sorry, I was just reading the mechanized unit subtype because that's actually pretty important to read. Chat.
Well, should we cover that after you've gone through because I think there's probably stuff that we've skipped over there that we probably shouldn't have done, i.e. the militia rule and the mechanized units rule.
Yeah, because we've done third line, and that's major. But
no, the mechanized unit rule is important as well.
Yes, it is actually.
Anyway, militia command cadre, 45 points. You get 4 guys. I'm not reading Mr. B's notes. I'm looking at the PDF because I'm a terrible human being.
My notes are very skimpy because I was trying to keep the section.
Itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot show notes.
Well, they're trying to keep this section shorter than it should be.
So we've got, you get 5 for your 45 points. You can make it a 20-man unit. Every additional bloke or individual rather is 8 of your finest points. The lieutenant can take a melter bomb, take a refractor field. They can swap their weapons. They can get a power fist. They can get a power weapon. It's all your standard kind of militia guard sort of stuff. They can take carapace armor. Long lances and sniper rifles are separate things. And they can take bayonets, which is a new thing as well.
They can all take bolt guns as well, so you could have a 20-strong bolt gun unit in a HQ choice.
Yeah.
Yes, and they can be taken as a retinue, so they don't necessarily take up a 4-sword slot, which is very handy.
I get frag and crack grenades, so actually they're not too shabby.
No. BS3.
Do you want to look more boots on the ground?
Do you want to look at the rogue psychers then, Graham?
Yeah, so good and bad. If you want demons, this is how you summon them. So they can basically, this breach the veil kind of rule basically opens up warp rifts, which is pretty cool. And I do like the idea of that. I've got to be honest with you. I think that is pretty natty. Other powers like etheric lightning or void darts are okay. Let down by ballistic skill 2, of course. Has the fear 1, but otherwise not going to do that much in combat. So this is
he's like he can take a force weapon, but he's weapon skill 2.
Yeah,
he can take a force weapon, but he's more likely to trip over and one-shot himself with it than anybody else.
He's there to summon demons. That's his job.
I think so. Yeah. And I mean, of course, it's going to be quite tricky for him to do that because I think it's the psychic power does require a psychic test, which is a leadership test.
The next 2 units are ones that are in the legacies. Sorry, go on.
You can take 9 militia wardens with him as well.
You can, yeah. So with Perils of the Warp, you don't have to take it on the Psyker. Yeah. So that you'll basically be using those as your kind of meat puppets. Yeah. So they're the people that he would sacrifice, which I think super themey every time he gets his power wrong, which he will do because he's got terrible leadership. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
nothing to say that the wardens are willing wardens, either. They could just be like,
No, and these guys are traitor only. The Expeditionary Navigator, that's the old model from donkeys ago when they sold it at the UK Games Expo for like 1 show, and it was it was in the Birmingham Hilton, if I recall. It's the only way for Loyalists to have a Psyker. He has a lidless stare, which is a strength 2 pinning template. He doesn't do much else. These are in the legacies document, by the way, because the Solar Auxiliary gives these to any army.
Yeah, a bit like the assassins in the Imperialis book as well.
Yeah.
They can drop into this, by the way.
Yeah, he's okay, but yeah, you're going to get better. I mean, he's the only way you get a Psyker in this for a Loyalist. So, the Davenite Priest, Rob.
Hang on a second. I've lost the notes for a second there.
Yeah, sorry.
Davenite Priest, basically he can restore a single wound to a single model with his ritual healing, but not a massive amount else. Obviously, that single wound cannot restore a model that was previously dead, so it only works on multi-wound models.
He can go with Ogrins, because medics normally can't.
Presumably, you could have an allied marine detachment as well, and he can follow a dreadnought around.
No, he's just got to be part of the unit.
Yeah, he has to be part of the unit. Yeah.
Right, okay. So
he can join Ogrins, unlike the Medicaes.
The Medicaes can with that rule, that provenance.
Yes, if they've got one single provenance. So
Yeah.
he's all right for an ogre. All right, Chris, over to
Bonjour.
troops and the infantry.
Troops. So we
On the
have
large
got...
troops, this tracer only.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly.
They have a Night Lodge priest and all.
Yeah.
So we get militia infantry squad, 80 points. Gives you 4,000 meat shields, effectively. They are...
Are the dogs being troublesome, Graham?
No, it's just my window was open and the
So
door
you
was
can take...
banging.
So with the infantry squad, you can take 3 squads as a single troop choice because of the strength in numbers special rule.
Which is basically tercio rules, but stronger at Scrabble
Yeah.
because it's more letters.
Exactly. So you want boots on the ground on mass. These guys, they can have a maximum. They are a maximum of 20 unit, unlike the levy squad, which is
50.
redunculous.
So you can have 6 units with 3 each. What's 6 times 3?
6 is 6 units of 60. It's 6 units of 60. You can have 360 militia infantry in a list.
These are your these are your standard infantry squads.
Yeah.
They've got flak armor, nothing special. They can't take carapace armor.
They can have shotguns.
Yeah, shotguns are good, but concussive is handy.
5 points a unit as well. That's 5 points for 20 of them. That's a cheap shotgun.
Cheap shotgun.
I quite like the.
It's the whole unit that does that. So
yes, the whole unit has to swap its. Has to swap its units. I quite like the stub carbines because that gives you 60 shots at 12-inch range. Of course, they get ripped apart by Marines.
You're too close. Too close.
These guys are meant to die.
They're not. The next ones are meant to die.
Yeah. The levy guys are
everything in militia is meant to die.
Yeah.
Strength
disposable heroes.
3, AP nothing, assault 2, concussive 1. Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, you can also take pistols and melee weapons, but I'd only take that if you've got literally nothing else to.
Yeah.
Or the STL you're printing doesn't have a lasgun option.
All that.
Yeah. Levies. Does Mr. Graham want to tell us about? I mean, I think we've pretty much hinted as to what the levy's like anyway. But
I like levies. So these are very much the disposable end of the scale. 20. You basically start off with 20, so that gives you a hint that what we're looking at here is a mob. Going to take up to 50 of them in one slot. 2 points each with a lasgun, autocannon or pistol, and melee weapons. So basically you can just give them pistol or melee weapons. Strength in numbers means that for each troop slot you can take 3 of these. So you could technically, 6 3s are 18, 350 of these. I think. Wait a minute. A lot.
150 times 6. 900.
Yeah, there you go. But expendable means that if they fail a morale check, the whole squad flees. And is removed.
Somebody listened to the war crime. Somebody in the studio listened to the war crime episode and went, "What? Only 300 models? Well,
hold my beer." That's what they said. We'll get. I mean, just imagine that. That would be a
900 infantry. You couldn't deploy it.
No, you couldn't.
Because that's 900 square inches on a 25
but also,
mil base.
Equally, you couldn't stop it.
And that would be less than 2,000 points as well.
Just go with
Hey Siri, how many square inches
of...
are in 6 foot by 4 foot?
I need to look at someone's.
Yeah, somebody's going to work out how many of those you can fit. Anyway, kids, spoiler alert, that might come into play later on. Next up, Mr. B.
Grenadier Squad, the second line choice in your list, the standard one. These are support squad, so a bit of a letdown because you can't make it a compulsory choice. But in terms of provenances, I think we've seen these are the squad that get changed more than anything else. with dedicated transports and various other options and stuff. So these units really do add flavor to your list, in my opinion. Very similar to the other guys, the infantry squads. Pretty much a lot of the same options there. They're stormtroopers. They got a 4+ save, bit more survivable, but not by much.
Yeah, they don't get BS4 anymore.
No,
You can take
still
20 in a squad.
still BS3. They got 4+ save, so it's slightly more survivable. Plenty of
If you give them that
options.
provenance, they
The
get
sergeant gets the sergeant gets a few more options for an individual weapon, so like a power fist, plasma pistol, sword, etc., etc. You can get
Not
a
worth
Nuncio
it.
box, but
Not worth it. Buy more bods.
yeah, they're
They're not going to outgun Space Marines. They're not going to outfight Space Marines.
Going
They're not going to
back
outsurvive Space Marines.
Going
As I
back,
said,
going back to the previous one, a 12-inch deployment zone, which is what you normally get on a 6-foot table, is 720 square inches. So you would still have 180 infantry alone that you couldn't fit into your deployment zone, not to mention anything else you'd bought outside of the troops choice unit.
okay. All right, moving on. Militia Fire Support Squad, Rob.
So the Militia Fire Support Squad, so this is your heavy weapon boys.
Mhm.
The support squads, 3 to 10 teams. They are emplaced, so hope that they don't run away, because otherwise they're emplaced. They
They're
just
gone.
Yeah,
die, basically. A unit that includes any models with this special rule may only make the return fire or overwatch core reactions or the interceptor advanced reaction. No other reactions of any kind may be made. Additionally, if forced to fall back for any reason, all models in the unit are immediately removed as casualties. So, if you're using the Cadian missile launcher teams, which is a shoulder-mounted bazooka, obviously if you point it the wrong way, it blows up, because if it's shoulder-mounted, surely they should just run off with it. But anyway, that's by the by. This is where your anti-tank comes from, because anti-tank is something that is tricky to come by in this list, as when we get to the list challenge, you'll notice when I start Control-C and Control-Ving things.
We'll come on to it, but it's not strictly true.
Yeah, I'd have to disagree with that one, Rob, as well.
I mean, I struggled to find much, because these guys, if you start putting these guys with las cannons, there's 75 points a pop, that as soon as you make them run away and their leadership 6, they're dead.
Did someone overlook the Imperialist militia field gun battery with a heavy las cannon?
No, I didn't, but it wasn't where I went. I'm used to the old militia where you could just buy millions of guys with las cannons, and they weren't there, so I kind of freaked out. Like I do when I go into a different supermarket, because not everything's in the same place. But anyway,
Cool.
These are your weapons teams. You can take a mortar, heavy bolter, multi-laser, missile launcher, auto cannon, or las cannon for a varying plethora of points. But at leadership 6, you make them run away, and they're dead.
Yep.
I don't think they do rocket launchers in the Cadian heavy weapon pack anymore.
No.
Okay. Cool.
Who's
next out of the bag?
Recon squads.
Oh yeah.
Come with shotguns, can take sniper rifles to hunt officers, but it's only 5 of them that can do so. You take a lot in the squad, but only 5 of them can take a certain weapon type. Man says from memory, not looking at the document, looking at a different PDF at the same time. They have scout, infiltrate, moves to cover, plus a light, so they're highly mobile. Sniper rifles are 10 points apiece.
Yeah, only up to 5 models may have one, but you can have 10 guys in a unit. So what are the other 5 doing?
Well, you don't have to have 10 guys in the unit.
Well, no, that's true.
But then there are also meat shields to absorb the bullets.
That's true, yeah. But 10 guys in the pajamas don't take a lot of hoovering off, do they?
Not really, no. Yeah, I mean, a bolt gun, would do for them quite nicely, thank you.
One Marine gets into combat, right? That's that unit dead.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And can take las carbines, can take stud carbines. Yeah.
I mean, your sergeant can have melter bombs for 10 points.
Good luck. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so Graham, do you want to tell us about the Ogren Brutes?
Yeah, so these are probably the highlight of the army, I feel. 3 to 10 big old lugs hoofing around the battlefield with a big old stick. So
it's not wrong.
They're probably the thing that you'd be slightly worried about if you were a Marine player for about 10 minutes till you started shooting them. So they've got a pretty good stat line actually. Move 7, weapon skill 4, so Marine equivalents weapon skill wise. Ballistic skill 2, so don't give them guns, it's just not worth it. Strength 5, wounding on 3s. Toughness 5, getting wounded on 5s. 3 wounds, 2 attacks. Initiative 2, 4 attacks. So, slow but purposeful. Leadership 6 though. And you can make one a boss for additional points. Same stat line pretty much, except they get an extra attack and leadership 7. So, they're not bad actually.
Hammer of Wrath 2 as well.
Yeah, so pretty useful little number. You can give the boss a Thunderhammer, which makes him super interesting then with his 5 attacks with a Thunderhammer.
6 on the charge. Give them all carapace armor so they're, not
4
bolter proof, but they're getting a save at least.
I think so. Maybe the boarding shields would probably be the only upgrade I would consider, or the additional close combat weapons so they get an extra attack as well. But bear in mind, everything else is going to go before them unless they're using power fists, which means these guys could, with volume, and we're talking 10 of them, could take out Terminators just by sheer weight of attacks.
60 attacks if you give them additional close combat, and that's after.
You're fishing for ones, for the Terminator arm, because you haven't got any AP2 other than Thunderhammer, but still, it's a lot of attacks to save.
After your Hammer of the Wrath as well, you've got 20 Hammer of Wrath and then 61 attacks, including the boss.
And you're wounding on 3s as well, remember, because you're strength 5.
Yeah. Only leadership 6.
They are in leadership 6. They're
leadership
a
7 with the boss.
7 with
they
the boss.
Are getting pinned left, right, and centre.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
You put a discipline master in there. At worst, you lose 1.
I mean, there's not a huge amount of pinning in the game. There's enough, but there's not a massive amount. But yeah, I take your point, Chris. That, they're going to suffer from that, and particularly if you link night fighting as -1 to leadership as well. They could be very shaky, show very shaky ground first turn. But you probably want to pin them if you possibly could, because you don't really want them getting up close and personal, because they could wreck your day. But they could also be a pretty good defensive unit to stop Terminators, getting all of their way all of the time. Okay. But there's still a lot of wounds to get through. If you've got 10 of them, that's 30 wounds that you've got to kind of trudge through. Unless you've got strength 5 weapons, it's going to be tough.
Okay.
So yeah, I like them.
Right. Okay. So that brings me on to the Medicaid detachment, who are basically medics. You pass them around the squads. You can take up to 12 of them. You get 3 in a unit. You just pass them around your squads. They can feel no pain 6, but they can't be attached to Ogren squads without the correct
provenance.
So yeah, that's not much more to say about them than that. They're handy.
Okay.
Yeah. They're not a lot of points. They're handy. They'll help your model stick around a lot. But they take them an elite slot. That's about it, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can't say much more than that. Okay. Rob, what about the field gun artillery?
Yes, well, emplaced guns. So basically more heavier duty version of the heavy support squad. So they're destroyed again if they have to fall back. So you might want to invest in invest in carapace armor for them. I don't think they can take it. Oh yes, 5 points a model. There it is. It's just hiding. It doesn't have the normal dots before it for the points increase. That's why I missed it.
Where is this one?
It's in elites. It's not. You'd think it'd be in heavy, but it's in elites.
Yeah, it's as model wise. It's the new Cadian, the field ordnance battery. Because there's a lot about this list, which is obviously designed to sell new Cadian models.
Those Ogrins have been redone to make them so they've got the new plastic Ogrin box as well.
I don't blame them, because to a degree, a lot of criticism for Games Workshop in the past has been, hey, you've got this model, well, Forge World, I suppose it was. We've got these models that we can take, the units, but to build them so that we can play them at Games Workshop, we can't, because you literally cannot build these models from what you sell. And I think they've kind of gone to that whole thing that Games Workshop's been moving to, is what you get the box is what you can build on paper.
Yeah. So with the artillery, you can get the Thunderblast cannon. Manatees have been hard at work again. Strength 7 AP4 blast pinning, 72-inch range is handy. It's the Strength 7 AP4. It's a 72-inch range auto cannon with a blast meh.
Fine.
Heavy las cannon.
It hasn't got rending or breaching or anything, has it? It's just pinning, though.
65 points for the heavy las cannon, but it is Strength 10.
Expensive, though.
But it's 65 points.
It's just, Strength 10, AP2, Sunder.
Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's
good, but expensive.
One shot with Ballistic 3, it will be hugely frustrating.
Yeah. There's a Calliope mortar, which is basically the new quad mortar that comes in the Cadian box. Pinning, shell shock. And it's large blast as well.
Let's have a look at that.
Causes pinning as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, so that sounds pretty good.
I think this is the best. I think this is the one you want to use with this one.
Yeah, I mean...
what you want to use is the next thing that Chris is going to read.
Heavy one, large blast, pinning, barrage, shell shock 1. So -1 to that pinning test. That's actually, I think, probably the best one. And also, because it's a blast, you don't have to worry about their ballistic skill being so terrible.
And it's a large blast, whereas the Thunder Blast is a small blast. Sorry,
I think the Calliope mortar, they clearly want to sell that new kit.
It's a nice kit, though. It's a
nice
kit.
Yeah. Not as nice as this next one.
Go on, then.
Blokes on horses. Yeah. Okay. They're going to die just as easy as guys not on horses.
Yeah, because they're only toughness 3 as well. I noticed the horses.
But these guys can at least do something on the way, because have got the best marine killing weapon, pretty much, that this army's got access to.
Strength 7, AP3, Brutal 2, Sudden Stroke 2 on their spears.
And they're Initiative 5.
Strength 7, AP3, Brutal 2, Initiative 5.
Yeah,
they're going to kill Marines.
Well, you're just going to take the wounds on your sergeant to start with. Yeah, to be fair,
this is which lance is that? Because they've also got the Melter Lance, haven't they?
The Militia Lance. You hit the sergeant with the Melter Lance because it's AP2.
You don't get to choose, unfortunately.
No,
not in this world. Unless you've got precision strikes.
Challenge.
Yeah.
It's a completely different order than the. Okay. Right. So great.
These guys are ace, and if you think that you can take them in units up to 15, you take the Provenance. You can take 9 units of them.
Yeah. So the next one now.
Many horse boys.
Cargo 8 Hauler Squadron. Is this Heresy or Gorka Morka, says Mr. B. What the hell model is this?
It's the
it's the Necromunda truck.
It's the Necromunda truck.
Doesn't help me any. I have to see a picture of that.
I'll send you a link in WhatsApp. But basically,
he's not got far enough along through Gaunt's Ghosts yet. He's not read the one about Bragg in his Cargo 8.
Okay, yeah.
On the mission.
Cool. Send us a pic.
I'll send you a link to the model in WhatsApp so you can have a look at it. But yeah, this rocks. I love it. I really love this thing.
Let's have a look. Because it's the tracked thing.
It's expensive.
It's the thing that the Trax one's based on. The tracked one is the Trax are an upgrade for the Iron Crawler, but it's the thing the Iron Crawler's based on.
Oh yeah, it's one of those things that takes
expensive.
What do you mean?
Price wise, actual physical money wise, it's expensive. But I love it. It looks great, but it's so expensive.
Okay.
It's 60 quid.
Can transport 22 people though?
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Or 5 Ogrins.
Or 4 Sentinels.
Not a dedicated transport. That is the
you can
thing that
reduce the armor value as well. get less people in it by making it more survivable.
Yes. Well, that only just makes it 12 all around, because otherwise it's 12, 10, 11, 10. So it's slightly better than a Rhino.
You're still going to go bang really quickly with an autocannon.
Oh, yeah.
And all 22 people inside are going to die in a horrible flaming wreckage really quickly.
True, but it's an interesting.
Nice to see on the battlefield.
Yeah,
and then destroy it and laugh as 30 guys die.
It's really cool, but yeah, it gives me much more Gork and Walker vibes.
I'd like to have seen that Iron Crawler one. That would have been cool. But anyway, let's not worry about that. I thought you could just use the model because it's kind of similar, isn't it?
Yeah, use the model.
Yeah, it's 90 quid instead of 60 quid though.
Okay. Arvus Lighter. Flying transport, low cost, no real weapons to speak of. And in the previous edition, it was super customizable. You could add loads of stuff on. You could give it options. You could make it an absolute unit. But it's a shadow of what it used to be.
And it's no longer available to buy anyway.
Is it not? It's just a transport, but it gives you deep strike. And it's basically the only way to get deep strike in this army.
Yeah,
termites isn't deep strike, is it? That's
you can fit 12 grenadiers in there, so you can fit 10 grenadiers, a discipline master, and a Medicaid. But at
2 whole points.
It's
third line.
Yeah, third line. It's a big disappointment to.
Was it really third line? Wow. Yeah.
It's a big disappointment to what it used to be, but
you couldn't do a lot with it before, though. Surely, you could just
give it a lot of options. It had a lot of options, though.
You had an excuse to play Ride of the Valkyries on your phone while you were doing deployment. That was about it.
It was really cool.
Fair enough.
Okay. So, disappointed.
So after that, you've got the Sentinel Squadron. It's a 3+ armor save unit. Brand new, sexy looking model as well. It gives you the mechanized rule, which I believe Chris wanted to.
I'll run up to the top and go through mechanized quickly, because that is a thing there. Right, mechanized. Following rules apply to all units of mechanized. Successful wounds caused by attacks with unit poisoned or fleshbane must be rerolls against units of mechanized. Fail to wound rules made for weapons with the armor bane X and against a unit that includes any model with this unit subtype must be rerolled. A model with the mechanized unit subtype may attack with all weapons it has when making a shooting attack, including as part of a reaction. Model with a mechanized. Handy.
Irrelevant when it comes to Sentinel because it's only got one gun, but anyway.
A model with a mechanized unit type may attack with heavy and ordnance weapons while counting as stationary, even if it has moved in the preceding movement phase, and may declare charges as normal regardless of any shooting attacks made in the same turn. Model with mechanized is affected by haywire, detonation, and battlesmith as if it had the dreadnought unit type, and no model that does not also have the mechanized unit subtype may join it.
So I think they've tidied these rules up because the automata rules make you immune to haywire and stuff like that. So they've clearly gone.
So you take one wound as opposed to vehicle destroyed, and takes the whole point basically.
It's because it's tidy.
No, but the automata, I think it's either armor bane or something, has no effect on them because they don't have the rules for them in their type. But yeah,
I'm going to be perfectly honest. These rules feel like they were designed to sell Sentinels.
Well, yeah, toughness 6, 3 wounds, scout.
Scout's good.
You've got your missile launcher, which looks cool, and it's always
surprise
a solid option.
Back. Oh, that sounded really bad.
Yeah, it really does. That's how to get yourself on a list.
Yes.
You can take a las cannon and a multi-melter. Cost a bit more punch. BS3 twin linked on the multi-melter might be better on that if you
scout
want to
the multi-melter. That's what I would do.
Scout and multi-melter, because with ballistic skill 3, I think the twin linked from multi-melter is handier than
100%.
But
there's no armored ceramite anymore, so you can get lucky if you can get within 12 or something.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Chris, do you want to talk about the Thunderbolt?
The Thunderbolt.
I'm begging you read my notes.
You're begging me to read
the
first paragraph.
A sexy piece of plane that was recently featured in the Golden Demon final by some fella who deserves all the praise that came his way. Beautifully painted model. And this is the.
That's not what it says on the. That's not what it says.
I
on
know,
the
but I'm a
notes.
nicer person.
No, it said didn't win, so it must have been
This
much
is
coffee.
this is the selected. It's the plane of choice on the Edge of Empire podcast, because there is nothing finer with wings that Games Workshop make. It's 120 points. It is made of tinfoil these days because it's also
got
third line. But it can take heavy crack rockets and heavy frag rockets,
which aren't
once-
which aren't what were the ones that are cracker penetrators anymore? Unfortunately,
Yeah. But it can't fire all these weapons.
Why
It's
not?
got so many weapons, but I don't think it can fire all of them in one turn.
Why not?
Why have I got this idea that you can't fire every single weapon on a plane?
have you made that up?
No, you might be. I mean, I haven't even looked at the flyer type, but I'm be amazed, Mr. B, if you can't fire those. I'll have a quick look at the flyer type while you're
Okay, right, fair
You
enough.
read the next one.
I might be, I might be making it up. So go on, Graham. Talk about the Beastmaster, but don't.
Yeah, no, just no. This is just a bad choice. Don't even consider them. And I now want to have a look at them to see why they should not be, according to Mr. B, considered.
Militia Handler is a basic bloke with leadership 7, movement 6.
Yeah, you get 3 of them in a unit, 50 points, and then you've got to buy beasts.
You can have a dog, which is
Sounds
movement
awesome.
7, BS 4, weapon skill 4. You can
But
have
they're
a cat.
limited to the movement of the slowest thing in the unit, so the movement doesn't matter.
You can have
Flyers can fire up to 4 of their weapons using their full ballistic skill, regardless of the distance moved that turn.
Oh,
See,
that's
I thought
interesting.
that was the case. Yeah,
Yes,
sorry. I
you're
just,
right.
So they've got the 4
So they can
mounted
fire their
autocannons,
autocannons.
and then they've got the
The-
missiles.
They can't fire the
las
las
cannons.
missiles. They can't fire all of them. They can only fire 4 of those.
And
So,
Tom,
yeah,
what
it's
do you
a good
think?
point.
What do you think of the Beastmasters then?
I'm not quite sure what they sound. Kind of cool on paper. Like, who doesn't want a war mastiff? I do.
I know, right?
Raptors.
so-
You can have war crocodiles, for crying out loud.
War dinosaurs. I suppose. What's the beef with these, Mr. B? Just
I just look. My personal opinion is they're just not good. I really don't think they are good.
Crocodile is the same movement as the handler, so it's not slowed down by him. It's weapon skill 4, strength 5, toughness 5, 2 wounds, initiative 3, 2 attacks, so 3 on the charge.
It's 50 points. Then you've got to factor in the thingy unit. You need 1 handler for each animal that gets added in. So you have to pull more of the militia dudes. But they have mutually exclusive subtypes and specials and profiles, with the exception of the Camian. All the beasts are faster than the humans, so they're going to suck because they stuck at the lowest speeds. Most of them are light, so they would get +1 to initiative when running, but they can't really run in the same way because the humans are in the unit.
the
provenance
humans
is-
have got skirmish. So they've only got to say they've got 3-inch unit coherency.
The provenances don't apply to
they're
the
not.
beasts because they don't have the militia subtype.
Yeah.
But they're going to get the drawbacks that the militia subtype has because they're in a unit with the militia subtype. And they're going to end up being removed from play with their handlers. So if you're going to take them, kill your handlers to let the animals go.
Yeah, just let them go crazy.
Because I don't
Which
think,
is what they do.
because this unit
Which I quite like.
the
conceptually.
idea of the unit is great, but the handlers and the beasts are just too different in the same unit. So the beasts don't get to shine. If that
I
makes
think
sense.
you basically kill the handlers and let the beasts go
Yeah,
and do.
you
the
need
thing.
to kill those handlers. You need those handlers killed because the beasts are so much better. But the only way, so
They basically must go along a path of the controlling player's choice towards the enemy unit that is closest.
yeah,
So
so,
you-
it's ridiculous. So you've got to buy if you want to buy a couple of if you want to have a unit of 4 raptors, you've got to buy another militia handler.
But that's okay. They're only 8 points.
Yeah, but that's my whole point. You end up with a squad of if you've got 10 raptors or crocodiles or whatever, you've also got 10 guys. You need those 10 guys to die for the squad to actually
Okay, yeah, fair point.
be free.
Mind you-
That's why I'm saying they're a bad unit.
yeah, fair
Sorry.
enough. I think they're pretty fun actually. They're
Why
not
are
going to
you
win you
worried
a
about
game,
being
but they're
free
quite
or
a good laugh.
Look fun, lots of modelling opportunities.
Where
Just
does it say how many handler you need? Oh, a unit may include 1 war beast for each militia handler in the unit. must be the same type chosen, and you can have 7. So you can have 10 handlers and 10 creatures.
Yeah.
10 crocodiles coming at you sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
For lols, it's up there. It's up.
Great modelling opportunities.
Yeah, because
don't deny that. Right. Okay.
What are they? So it doesn't. What the unit types are they? Doesn't say. Does it? Oh yeah. So the Mastiff, Fellblade, and not Fellblade, Raptor,
Fellblade.
Yeah,
and
Felidae. They're all light skirmish. The Camion is just skirmish. So yeah, infantry skirmish. They could go in a vehicle. You could put them in your big crawler thing for added lols. Attack of the killer crocodiles.
So it looks, the start of Jurassic Park, the first one. The raptors in that big container.
Yeah.
And you could do that. So you have the handlers sort of goading.
Shooter.
Right, I'm moving on. Rapier batteries in heavy support. Mobile platforms with Relentless. These are your only kind of gun like this that isn't entrenched, so they can move. Great. Start with Gravis multi-lasers, but you can change that to heavy bolters, laser destroyers, or quad launchers. Personally, I would go with laser destroyers as they're twin-linked ordnance AP1 and Exoshock 6.
I would agree.
And I think that's an excellent, because I think everything else you can cover in other units.
Laser destroyers are by far a really good anti-tank choice.
Other units can do this job better, if that makes any sense.
Laser destroyers, twin linked, gives you a good chance. And it's like ordnance, so you're rolling 2 dice, pick the highest, and they're AP1, so you need only need a 5 or a 6 to blow the living bejesus out of that Typhon.
All right, Rob, what about the heavy ordnance battery?
Well, it's Earthshaker cannons, so that's what you want in militia. Long range, strength 9 and shred, but obviously rubbish AP nowadays. Cheap but stationary, so you'll need to get as many of the extra. You can buy like 25,000 additional crew.
You can buy 20. You can have 20 crew in the unit.
Nice.
Yeah, which is
doesn't
like
have a minimum range anymore, does it?
It is.
No.
Oh god, I can't remember what it is, but
So
it's very long range. Very long range.
240-inch range, so a whole gaming room.
Yeah, it comes with 5 guys as standard. You can that isn't a burger, and you can buy an additional 16 militia gunners.
Nice, ablative wounds. So, but yeah,
those runners.
It's really interesting.
You want as many gunners as possible.
A long. Why on earth would you take a Medusa over an Earthshaker? So, read out the stats. But in the good old days, Medusa used to be strength 10, AP2, large blast. Now, strength 9, AP4, ordnance 1, barrage, large blast, pinning, and it's rending on 6s. So you're fishing for 6s to do anything decent. Okay, Earthshaker cannon, 240-inch range, strength 9. Guess what the AP is? 4, ordnance 1, barrage, large blast, 5, with shred and pinning. You would not take an ordnance. You would not take a Medusa over that. I don't think.
Shredded.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd go for the shred, wouldn't you? I mean, even though you're wounding on 2s anyway, just to re-roll the 1s, but you get pinning as well. But yeah.
No, I planned this to give. I planned this layout to give anybody but Graham the Lehman Russ. So, Chris, do you want to take us through the Lehman Russ?
Well, I'm a big fan as well. I've got several of them.
Yeah, but you won't spend 40 minutes just describing each gun in intimate detail.
You will now that you've
the way you would describe a lover.
Let me start, because I'm a big fan of a couple of these. So it's your standard Lehman Russ. Again, it's made of tinfoil. It's like all the fake tanks they made in the Second World War to pretend they're all the inflatable ones that they hid on the South Coast.
Yeah, it's like right. The militia need tanks. We've got some balsa wood lying around.
Chuck it on. There's a 5-year-old with a push bike in the middle. So they can take
Flintstones tanks.
Yeah, they can take Gravis las cannon, Gravis autocannon, the Vanquisher battle cannon with the coaxial mounted autocannon, which no one will ever convince me that the 4-year-old version of that is not the sexiest Lehman Russ ever made.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, agreed.
It is. I think I have some of those turrets lying around somewhere.
Isn't the Lehman Russ one? They got the tank killer one though. That's the sexiest one they've ever made, surely.
No.
What's that?
The one that you had and sold.
The wannabe.
Oh, that wasn't. That's not a Russ though. That's a
No, that's a.
Oh, it was a Chimera, wasn't it? It was a Chimera.
No,
chassis.
it was his own chassis.
So it's a Russ chassis, but it's just got a gun sticking out the front. It's like a Russ version of a Typhon, of a Cerberus.
Yeah, it was the sexiest tank they'd ever made, but it wasn't technically a Lehman Russ. So.
Okay, fair enough.
That's why I'm separating the two.
Fair play.
It can also take a demolisher cannon, and it can take an executioner cannon, which I used to remember being much better than this one is. Because I'm sure it used to be 3 shots.
3 shots. It used to be 3 shots. Large, small blasts. Strength 7 AP2.
Yeah. Just absolute Terminator shredder.
Yeah.
Not so much these days. It's only 1 shot.
One shot. Is it 1 shot? Mind you, is it still?
Strength 7.
It's not terrible.
This
is breaching 4+, isn't it?
I think so.
Breaching or rending. I can't remember which.
Yeah, I mean the battle cannon is just bad, sadly.
Oh yeah, that is awful. But the plasma one isn't terrible. I think execution plasma cannon 4. I think
Vanquisher is the best one. I think the Vanquisher is the one you want to go for, specifically because you got that coaxial, so it improves the ballistic skill a bit.
I'm not so sure, and I'm going to make the case for the plasma cannon here because for the same reason why I think it's very good on the.
Well, it's still good
on the. I mean, I think the Vanquisher cannon is great against dreadnoughts because it's got brutal, but the plasma cannon, 48-inch range, strength 7, AP4, large blast. Rending 4+, that will give people pause for thought. Your Terminator squads and the like. I know it's not going to instant death thing. So
does it get hot?
No,
but the Vanquisher doesn't. But the Vanquisher isn't there to kill.
Your Vanquisher's a Firefly.
The Vanquisher exactly is there to go.
It's a Lehman Russ Firefly. That's what it is.
I mean, I would say it's probably best against dreadnoughts.
Okay,
so the brutal.
I'd also say with this one, because you got no sponsons, you need to take a pintle mounted weapon because otherwise you got 50-50 on weapons destroyed.
Yeah.
So reduce that down to 1 in 3 instead with a pintle mounted weapon.
I don't think you can do that.
Yes. Weapon destroyed.
Because it becomes because it's a defensive weapon. So pintle mounted.
They can still be weapons destroyed.
Not over. I'm pretty sure, but we have to double check.
Okay,
because they don't count. Because basically they don't count for that in that way. So you've got the last cannon at the front, or if you had an auto cannon actually, because anything over strength 7 isn't a defensive weapon. So if somebody says weapon destroyed, you can take your auto cannon off rather than your Vanquisher cannon.
Have I got to go and redo my list?
But the pintle mounted, I think, even if you took a multi-mounter or something, which is strength 8, I think because it's a pintle mount, it still counts as a defensive weapon. So you can't take those.
Yes, it is because someone did that to you at the weekend. I remember seeing that because they were you were shooting. He was doing something with multi-melters, and you're like, because it's pintle mounted, so it's defensive.
Okay, so pintle mounted.
Okay, destroyed.
Oh, great! I have to redo my
destroyed.
list.
If one of the vehicle's battle weapons chosen by the vehicle's control player is destroyed, if the vehicle has no battle weapons or all of its battle weapons have been destroyed, then the vehicle's controlling player selects 1 defensive weapon to be destroyed.
Yeah, and pintle mounters always counts as a defensive weapon, regardless of the strength.
This is where Mr. B's frantically refunding his multi-melters.
You need to get flipping las cannons.
Yeah, all autocannons. Because they're strength 7.
You can't. It's a the front mounted is a heavy flamer, multi laser, or las cannon.
Oh yeah, you're right. You got
heavy bolter. That's going to be a defensive weapon. Heavy flamer is a defensive weapon. Multi laser, defensive weapon.
Strength 6.
Las cannon. You've got. Yeah. Oh god, they're going to cost 20 points. Oh my god.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, you're not putting a las cannon on the front anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I would.
Yeah, you're damn.
I would to cut your risk of weapon destroyed and losing your main weapon.
Yeah, but I'd still do it anyway. Yeah, I probably would.
Built-in cost.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
Okay, fair enough. I'm having to
All of
redo
mine-
my whole. I'm having to look up my list now because I'm like way over.
You've
all
done
of
it
my
now.
Russes, all my Russes that I physically own have las cannons hard glued into the front.
Mine
Yeah,
don't
just-
actually. I must admit, I have deviated from that particular mantra. But having said that, now I'd probably put them back in. So yeah, cool. Okay, let's go on with the show.
Next is the Gorgon heavy transporter.
No, the next is the Malkador heavy tank, sir.
Oh, on our yes, on our list, yes, the Malkador. But
Yeah. A fast tank,
yes,
14-inch
it is.
move, super customizable, plus cheaper than the solar version. And the reason why? Because it's third line, so you can throw a couple of rocks at it. A couple of hobbits with rocks will destroy it. British 3 means the Vanquisher is a less ideal choice of weapon without independent fire, of course, but it's probably the only choice worth taking with this, I feel.
You can take a demolisher cannon on it.
Demolish cannons are meh.
Yeah, sorry, oh boy. It's not like it used to be.
Not like the good old days.
No.
Yeah.
AP4.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, they're reasonable, but they're not.
Couldn't demolish a buffet.
I mean, you'd use this to, shoot things with that Vanquisher cannon, I think.
Oh, hang on. So, Demolisher Cannon,
Strength 12,
AP3.
3-inch blast, AP3, yeah. Is it rending
Rending
5,
6,
6, 6s, yeah.
Brutal 3. So, actually, not too shabby against Dreads.
Yeah.
no, it's
You're
pretty
fishing
good.
you're fishing for 6s, but yeah.
Well, even at Strength 12, you're still.
You're wounding them, but they're saving on 2s. Unless you roll the 6s for the rending.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, though, and this did come up, if it's rending, right? So you shoot it with a rending thing. Strength 12, you shoot and rending's only for armor penetration, I've just realised. So ignore me. Because it wouldn't add the strength of the weapon, would it?
No.
You just roll a 6 and it would just automatically wound. It wouldn't be, it's now strength 14 and your dreadnought, if it fails that wound, is instantly killed. Or D3 hull points.
One thing I would also suggest is because it's with the sponsons, it doesn't have independent fire. So I would personally suggest, rather than trying to make those, the side weapons essentially really good, I just stick to your defensive weapons for those.
I wouldn't. I mean, sponsor weapons aren't what you remember them being, I fear, Mr. B. You actually, although you haven't got independent fire, most of the time with sponsors, you're shooting at 2 different targets.
Yeah.
Because the other one, because one of them can shoot a different target to the other one. So basically you've got left-hand side sponsor that shoots at this target, which the main gun shoots at as well. The other gun can also shoot at something else.
So do they not need independent fire for that?
No.
It just basically means as long as you haven't got a line of sight with your second sponsor to the same target as your main gun, then you can fire at a different target.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Same with every tank now.
Yeah.
All right.
It is no guns are wasted. That's kind of.
It's it's got the reinforced rule as well, so it's.
Reinforced is a big deal actually, because it basically means you ignore 1, 2, 3, 4 on the vehicle damage table. You still have the whole point, but you don't get any impact from it.
Okay. Rob, do you want to take us through the Gorgon?
Yes, which is quite easy to do considering it's made out of paper and it's not even got a roof. It's not an assault vehicle. It's a 250 quid model that is basically a shoebox with some heavy stubbers on it. Steady. What is the point?
It's not an assault vehicle, which is like, what?
It's not an assault vehicle. It's
not got open
open-topped.
topped anymore. No, it doesn't have open topped. There's no open topped on here.
Oh no, it's not. It's not open top.
There's no open top rule.
It's
Yeah.
not
I don't think
open
there is in the
top. It's
game.
not a thing, but it's not an assault vehicle. Yes, you can fit lots of people in it, but then they've got to queue very patiently to get out of it. It looks amazing.
Oh yeah.
But it's pap.
Armor 15 though is that's pretty cool. 15, 14, 10.
Yeah,
So-
10. So
and-
submarine walks
Yeah,
around
but
behind it
what's-
and shoots it with a bolt pistol.
And it
What
is
is
third line.
What's it going to do?
it's going to drive up, and then you're going to have a turn of. Imagine if you jumped out 40. No, they couldn't do anything, could they? No assault vehicle.
You've got a pinning, a 24-inch strength 5 AP5 large blast mortar weapon on it that pins, but it's one use.
Mm-hmm.
So it's too expensive. It doesn't actually have anything worth taking. There's no reason for it.
It has no reason. It's like it's the Piers Morgan of tanks.
It doesn't exist
it's
with any
big.
purpose.
It gets in the way. It's got a high opinion of itself, but it serves no actual purpose whatsoever, and generally brings the average of the collective down.
If you could shove a bunch of Ogrins in there.
I thought you were going to say if you could shove a Gorgon up Piers Morgan.
No, if you could shove a bunch of Ogrins in there, and it had
how many Gorgons can you fit in?
They're bulky. Well, your squad's limited to 10, so 10 Ogrins in there with the boarding shields and the combat weapon, busting out of there as an assault vehicle would be flipping awesome.
I'm just looking up now because obviously they used to be in the good old days super heavy transports where you could take.
This is a super heavy.
They weren't assault vehicles, but they were open top, so they didn't need to be because you could just dive out whenever you wanted.
Again, if you could fit 40 guys in there with guns that can shoot out, great. But it's not. It's a bad unit. It's a bad unit. It's really badly written. It's got no. It's crap.
Okay, you don't like it, Mr. B. I'm feeling
I
that.
think the point is, Graham.
What purpose
does this serve?
Tell you, Mr. Mills.
What purpose does this unit serve?
There's only one particular purpose, but there's two actually, Mr. B. Unlike your power gaming self, people might take this for rule of cool. And second.
I'm looking forward to seeing all the fat that's going to be on Graham's list in about 5 minutes' time. Obviously, completely fluffy written list.
Okay, I expect your list to have a Gorgon in it. All right,
totally.
All right, let's. Yeah.
Moving swiftly on. We do need to just double check a couple of things, and I don't think we've got time to do it. But the only time this would be useful is, like you said, if it could take Ogrins, which there may be a super heavy transport rule. Or multiple squads.
It can take Ogrins, but it can take Ogrins because it's transport capacity. They're bulky. They can go in there. There's nothing that says they can't.
Well, aren't they monstrous? No, they're infantry, aren't they?
Infantry. But the point is, it's not got an assault vehicle rule, so they get out. All right, I'm going to have to be shot at for a turn. That's the problem I have with it. It's just the Ogrins get out. And they're like, right, we'll just mill around here for a bit.
Yeah, just a little heads up, by the way. If you can put multiple units in there, though.
Yes, you can.
Super heavy transports. If a super heavy vehicle has a transport capacity, then, infantry of units that they can go in there. So that's pretty cool. So you could kind of use it as a mobile, try and survive for 10 minutes kind of thing. But if it blows up, by the way, number of strength 10 hits, AP3 number of models in that unit, so you're going to die.
Okay. All right. Baneblade, the Lord of War for this army that they have. Basically, in my opinion, best looking super heavy. I'll die on that hill. I really love the look of this tank. It just looks great.
Get out of
it. No, it does. It's just got a classic Warhammer look to it. And I like
saying Glaive is the best flavour of ice cream, you weirdo.
The Fellblade nice. The Fellblade rolls over the top of you.
Anyway, it's a third line vehicle, but it's somewhat mitigated because you don't suffer the price of failure with it. So
there is that. Yeah, that's true.
At 400 points, it's actually one of the more reasonably priced Lord of War units in the game. The Baneblade cannon, auto cannon, demolisher cannon, twin-linked heavy bolter, option of 2 las cannons and 2 more twin-linked heavy bolter / flamers, optional pintle mounts, and optional hunter-killer missile. It's got a lot going for it. But if you take Industrial Stronghold, is it a good choice compared to 6 Lehman Russ tanks?
No.
If you've got a 400 points hole to fill in a list.
Even 400 points compared to, the 720 right.
I mean, it would draw the fire.
I'm not saying that was the situation I was in at all, but I mean, I can speak from, I assume a position of consistency on that.
Yeah.
You're
anyway,
asking for a friend, Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
What do we think of the list?
I think this is an army that you will never win a game with, but it wouldn't matter, and
Well,
that's
you'd have a
probably
lot
going to
of
be
fun.
reflected in my army list choice.
I think it's
And-
meant to be an allied detachment rather than a standalone list.
I think the best way to use this army is to reenact the mass kind of infantry battles with the Space Marines, probably word bearers or something, goading
Or
your,
Alpha Legion.
goading your troops, maddened troops on.
Well, you could be super
absolute
fluffy and
certain
thematic,
death.
but you'll still lose.
You'll 100%.
I'd
lose,
also
but it'll
say
be
it's
good fun.
just away from the gaming side of things. This offers the opportunity for a wonderful modeling project because there's so much you can do with it. You
But
can
the problem is
take
everything you do
models
is at volume, and I think
Well,
that's
yeah.
that's
yeah,
the other
yeah,
thing.
yeah. But this is
it's one
like
thing to say, it'd be nice to make this model, but you make that model 300 times, you will not want to make that model again in
if
your
I
life.
if I was to make a militia list, it would be one I would be doing over several years to build up that little start with an allied detachment and build it up gradually into an interesting army that's a chance to do something that's not,
I think if you tried to build a list that was like a Marine list, you would be very disappointed.
yeah.
But I think you'd have to go into each game expecting the absolute worst
I mean,
and
if I was,
and hoping for the best.
I mean, you could always just grab a bunch of chaos cultists, make a infantry squad, 2 squads, and a HQ, and there you've got an allied detachment of just bods to be killed to protect your Alpha Legion or Iron Warriors or whatever.
Yeah.
As an interesting project, or the religious fanatics that the Imperial Fists are going, well, we don't really like them, but we're kind of tolerating them because they're shooting things.
Yep, makes sense.
So it's an interesting project. So shall we move on to our list challenge then?
Let's do that.
now that you've put up with all of that lot for 4 hours nearly, it's time to actually get on with what we know you're all here for, and that we've been neglecting you for a little bit this year. It's time for a list challenge. So, and this month's list challenge is Mechanicum. No, you've just listened to us whiffle on about Militia for 3 hours or 4 hours. I've lost track. So we're going to talk Militia lists, expect tanks, copy, paste, giddiness about horse boys, and Volkite, probably because Michael's involved. Not sure if Chris has managed to get any deep strike in, but we'll work out whether he's managed it.
A bunch of armistices.
So, without further ado, who do we think should go first?
I would like to go first.
Well,
Just
there we
also
go
because I'm
then.
old and I'm going to
Sleep and Russ.
Go
Okay,
for it.
you ready for this?
Go for it.
You're going to love this list.
Are we?
So this is based on the fact that the premise of playing this game is you will never win a game, but you're going to might as well have some fun doing it, right? So I've kind of took that here. I also got a little bit inspired by the idea behind this, and this really is an army that is basically exactly that. Some despotic leader has had his ear turned by the word bearers, and this is the sacrificial horde that goes out before the fighting starts. So this is what I've got. So I've got a force commander, I've given him power armor, I've given him a chargeable saber and a needle pistol, which is actually a pretty good combo. Cyber Familiar and Iron Halo. So hey, he's on a 3+. This guy, 3+3+ actually. And I've also put them on a horsey because that's cool, right? I've given him the Marcher Lord one because, as Chris alluded to earlier, Warlord trait is pretty good. So Battle Hardened actually makes him slightly less killable, but it's more around the immunity to fear because the leadership's so poor for this army, and also we can ignore the first pinning test. So, which is important. I'll come on to that. Next out the bag, because like I said, this is a word bearer's sacrificial offering to their devoted gods. I've got a rogue psyker with nine guys with him to basically soak up the failed saves, on the off chance that at some point in the future I might get some rules for a Ruinstorm Demon that I can summon. But I thought a rogue psyker would be a cool addition and would fit with the theme, particularly with the word bearers. After that, I've got to put some Medicaid in. So I have got one Medicaid squad and an additional one. So I think that gives me 6 or 7, something like that, which obviously gives us a feeling of pain 6+, and that's about it. Then I've gone for 10 of your lovely Ogrins. So I think this would be quite a cool thing to have. This is in the Elite's choice. So Thunderhammer Sergeant, which I think is kind of obligatory for that Sergeant. Carapace Armor to make them kind of survivable. And then obviously one's been upgraded to the Boss Man. 310 points, by the way, so not a cheap unit by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of wounds. Yeah, they're going to die, but they're going to die with fun. I've copy and pasted 2 of those, so that's 20 Ogrins for your troubles. Troops choices. Get ready for some Control C, Control V action that we get from our old chum, Mr. E. So what I've got is 300 levies. Right, so that's basically six of these, so 1 in each troop's choice, 50 in each of them with a Vexella. And because I've taken the Provenance are Feral Warriors and Endless Horde, I've given them all chain axes as well, so just bring their strength up by +1, and also with shred. So these guys are basically on the board, off you go, and just charge all 300. Ogrins behind, just a massive horde of things coming at you. I've also got a cavalry squad to kind of sit at the back, sort of classic style, with the Lord, 10 Outriders with the Militia Lances and a Melter Lance on, because you only have one of those, which is a pretty good weapon as well. So 210 points there. And then in the heavy support choice, just 2 Malgadors. I thought about the Russes, but I thought this is an army that's really rubbish. So they're not even going to waste a Lehman Russ on them. They're going to pull out the old museum pieces and have these Malcadors. So I've gone for the Vanquisher cannons just to, shoot a Dreadnought here and there and maybe hit them. Also cannons all round, and a Dozer Blade because, I'm bound to run into difficult terrain with these things. They're pretty quick. They can fire. So, that's basically it. The plan for this army is a big horde running at you, hopefully we'll get the endless horde thing, so they keep coming back at you like a bad penny. HQ following along behind, but it'll probably die in a heroic charge against some Marine squad, and the Ogrins stomping around waiting to fail their leadership tests and leg it off the board. That is it. No Lehman Russes to be seen, Mr. B. So you can.
That would look very, very cool, and would be. I think you've got yourself a fun to play against.
I think this is basically this is one of those times where you would be able to see what it was really like to have a Space Marine shoot a human to bits, because you taking armfuls of these guys off every turn, and you will have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. And anybody who does that list and sends us a picture of it, we will send you an Edge of Empire branded dustpan and brush.
Yeah, specifically because nobody in their right mind is going to want to put 300 chain axes on humans.
Okay, getting on to AliExpress.
I mean, I guess unless you've got a 3D print of one model with a chain axe and just did that 300 times.
I think you would want that. I think you'd want that new 3D printer that does that essentially prints already painted models.
I mean, painting them would be fun. I think it would actually be a huge amount of fun to play if I'm completely
just throw lots of brown and earthy contrast.
I think for that army you want to do old style Warhammer 8th edition tournament technique, flat colours, dry brush a generic colour over one generic colour over the whole model, and then dip it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, lots of. I'd go with contrast myself.
I would want to do
browns.
I'd want to do this in a Blanche-esque style, because I think it's a Blanche-esque army. So
lots of snakebite leather and
sepias, beiges, and then dip it with a dark dip.
Yeah, and to sort of really go to town on those, convert those horses up, so they look. In fact, that new model they showed with the kind of plague bearer on a horse kind of thing. Yeah, he would be a good HQ.
That is a lovely model. Is that?
So I think you could do something. Nice model. Could do something like that. So this is where I'd go. So yeah, I did give the Psyker a force weapon just for lols, by the way. He might hit something eventually, but
eventually it is mighty weapon skill too.
Yeah, but so yeah, it's there. It's basically an army that sort of gets dispatched. To be dispatched,
then gets dispatched.
Just to sort of soak up some bullets just before the real action starts. But I like the idea of that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's next?
Might I go?
Yeah.
We might let you.
So I was thinking my theme was basically Stalingrad and the factories that were basically building tanks that were rolling off the assembly line and straight into battle. And I went with the idea of this is a forge world. So I've gone with cyberometics and industrial stronghold. So I started with a force commander with an iron halo, power armor, and chargeable saber. Nothing too exotic about this guy. Mm-hmm. 3 discipline masters, because if you're doing Stalingrad, you need troops. You need someone to shoot.
You can't have a Stalingrad themed army without commissars.
Yeah, exactly. So commissars. Then for
actually, very quickly, Mr. B, I just realised that you've done something well that I did badly. You don't need power armor if you've got a cyber familiar and an iron halo. I've just realised
it's mechanically based. So
I was going to it's something that I did wrong. You did right, because it's a 3+ either way. But go on, carry on.
Fair enough. Okay, so my infantry squads, I've gone for 3 identical squads of infantry who are going to be based on Skitari kits with stub carbines. Just copy and repeat, and they're basically short range weapons, because I'm assuming this is street fighting, so they don't want anything too long range. It's fitting the theme, so high rate of fire, short range.
Your Thompson machine guns to go back to Stalingrad.
Basically, yeah. Then we've got a fire support squad with 3 autocannons to sit a bit further back and try and take out any light vehicles. And then we've got a field gun battery squad, 3 of them, with the mortar.
Calliope mortar.
Yeah. Then we have a sentinel squadron, 2 sentinels with las cannons. To try and outflank and get some surprise attacks from behind into the rear armor of anything. Then 2 identical squads of 6 Lehman Rush Vanquishers with las cannons.
That's 12 Lehman Russes.
Rolling off the assembly line straight into battle.
12 Vanquishers.
Yes. No fat on this list.
We're on video now, so I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do what I would be doing if we weren't video in it. The thought of
What's
12
that?
Vanquishers.
And then
And those Vanquishers with the pintle-mounted autocannons, aren't they?
No. Yes, with the coaxial autocannon to improve the ballistic skill.
No, you get a reroll, basically.
Yeah, and then as a Lord of War, we've got a Knight Questorus with Avenger Gatling Cannon, Thermal Cannon, Icarus Autocannon for a bit of anti-air, and a Melter Gun on its carapace. And that's it. Because I'm just, a lot of Forge Worlds have a Knight household. I was going to go with a Bane Blade, but then I thought, you know what, a Knight would be kind of cool.
Do you have any scoring, Mr. B? I know I don't.
Yes, I have 3 scoring units, 3 infantry squads that can score.
What's the Grenadiers?
20 men. No, just normal infantry.
Oh, they get line?
Normal militia infantry.
Okay, got it.
Sorry? They get line. They're just normal guys, line, nothing special. And that comes to exactly 3,000 points.
Nice.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
12 Lehman Russes.
Yeah, I think I was watching a documentary about Stalingrad the other day, and it had the tanks literally rolling off the assembly line straight onto the front line. I thought, and I was reading the militia list sort of at the same time. I was like, that would actually be quite cool.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you want to go next, Chris, or shall I? What do you want to do?
It would not be fun to play against, I don't think, though.
Do not mind, my friend. Entirely.
I'll go. We'll save the best for last then. I'll go next.
I wouldn't go that far.
So I've gone for Force Commander with Beloved of the People. So it means basically if you kill him, then all friendly models in the detachment get +1 weapon skill and strength and feel no pain 4+ until the end of the turn. It gives me an extra reaction in the shooting phase when he's still alive as well.
Nice.
And he's got power armor and a cyber familiar, and he's on a horse and he's got a lance.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's got a 3-up, 4-up because he comes with a refractor field. But I've cyber familiared that. And he's got Clanfolk Levy and Armory of Old Knight. Now, I did write a list with 9 units of cavalry in it and then deleted it because I thought I'd get shouted at.
Quite right.
So this is slightly different.
It'd be cool, though.
I thought so. But it was literally 1 unit, repeat times 9, end of list. So there's 3 Discipline Masters with Carapace armor as well in HQ. In my troops, I have 3 units of 20 Grenadiers that have 18 Volkite Chargers and 2 Volkite Culverins in each. We've got Vexilla in each as well. They're line. So the theory is with the Volkite, they get somewhere, sit there, and Volkite anything that comes near. There's also in troops a 15-strong militia cavalry unit with 15 lances and carapace armor on there. So that's 16 horses so far. In elites, there's 3 bit of basic Medicaid detachment, 3 Medicaid, so 1 each goes with each Grenadier unit to go and sit on an objective. In fast attack, I have 3 identical units of 5 Sentinels, all with las cannons. So that's 15 Sentinels in total, all with las cannons. Just coming in and shooting you in the butt, basically.
Scouting.
Yep, scouting. And then in my extra fast attack, I've got 2 more 15-strong cavalry units with lances, militia lances for all of them, so no melter lance in these, and carapace armor to make them that little bit more durable. And then heavy support is 3 individual Lehman Russ Vanquishers with smoke launchers, dozer blades, and a pintle-mounted heavy stubber, which I probably wouldn't bother with now that we've cleared up the pintle-mounted can't be used to diffuse your weapon destroyers.
Cannot, unfortunately.
It's still a weapon. It's still a weapon you can use to shoot with.
Yeah, but now I have to buy a las cannon in order to not have weapon destroy take out my main gun potentially.
You do.
So I don't have the points to spare if I've got 12 flipping.
Yeah, it's another 100. So basically, you have to take one Lehman Russ off effectively.
Yeah.
It's 120 points, isn't it? Is it 10 points for a las cannon?
Yeah.
Yes, it usually is now.
No, it's 20 points.
Is it? Oh dear.
Las cannon on Militia Lehman Russes is 20 points.
Okay, in that case, you're going to take off 2 of those then.
Yeah.
And
I'd probably end up in that situation with probably normal Russes without the Vanquisher cannon upgrade and without the smoke launchers, the dozer blades, or the pintle mounted heavy stubber, but with the las cannon, which would be the first thing I would shoot, because the battle cannon, I may as well shoot confetti at you.
Yeah. It's not ordnance anymore if there's any consolation. There's not much for consolation.
True. So yeah, basically you've got 60
So what would be the plan with this then? So how
you've
would you
got
use
60
this?
grenadiers who would scuttle to an objective, closest objectives, sit down with the medic and the Volkites and hope that everyone left them alone.
Yeah.
You've got the cavalry that would be hopefully using their movement to kind of keep out of trouble, but then come in and charge something that was advancing towards them. Because I think 15 cavalry would make a mess of a tactical squad. Potentially at initiative 5, you're looking at strength 5. Okay, it's only AP 3. You could theoretically put some dents on a dread. I mean, you're going to get butchered if you don't kill it the first time round, and it's going to save everything on a 2-up because you're only AP 3, but it would look very kind of cool. And obviously you have to play the trooper at that point. You'll fire your musket, but I will run you through.
It's only 30 attacks at strength 5, so yeah, I see what you mean. It will almost certainly survive that.
But it would look very cool to charge 45 horses into a Leviathan.
It would look very cool. You probably couldn't get them all into combat, but yes, it would still look damn cool.
And you've got 15 sentinels that are like.
I mean, it would at least hold up the dreadnought if you think about it that way.
Yeah, so you've got 46 horses, including the boss man, 60 odd infantry, 15 sentinels, 3 tanks. You've got a bit of variation in there. I tried.
Yeah, that was variation was achieved. Very good. Cool. Okay, so finally, Master Mills.
Okay. I have got one theme for my militia, and that is blokes from Forest Planet that look vaguely and almost identical to a group of people that are going to come across 10,000 years down the line.
Tattooed Cornishmen in space.
Pretty much.
I thought they were Welsh.
Led by a proper gentleman with a great big shiny sword. So I have taken Marcher Lord as my force commander's warlord trait, and he's got the warrior elite provenance, and also I took the armory of old knight provenance. So ballistic skill 4, and I got some cool guns. Force commander. Now Graham's going to chide me for this, but I have given him a lot of cool stuff. He has got a bolt pistol. He's got a paragon blade. He's got carapace armor, and he's got an iron halo, because my guy is not sitting at the back.
He's also got augmetic eyes, been promoted a lot. The paragon blade of solar.
Yeah,
he looks particularly dashing in a waist jacket.
I'm surprised you didn't give him a sub for me, to be honest with you, if you were interested in getting him up close and personal.
Cyber familiar that speaks exclusively in Old English.
If I'm honest with you, I missed it on the list and didn't see it. So that's the only
because that gives him a 3++, which is nothing to be sniffed at. So,
if I had seen it, I would.
You'd have had it. Yeah.
I didn't take it. So
them's the breaks.
Them's the breaks. I've got 4 discipline masters, all with refractor fields, all with bolt pistols. That is that. In my elites, I've got 4 Medicae. They are just, they can't take anything extra, so that's fine. Things start to get a little bit divergent here. I have got 2 sets of 5 field guns.
Okay.
2 with the mortar, and the other 3 have got the las cannons. because, as we alluded to, anti-tank is in short supply, and I quite like the idea of just having these guys at the back.
I wonder if
tread feathers.
It's a kind of toss up between them.
I'll come on to them.
Isn't it? I guess, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, I just think for the aesthetic that I'm going for, in general, I think the rapiers would look a bit too techie, if that makes sense.
I know exactly what you mean. Yep, makes sense. This is kind of like not a heavy industrial stuff. This is sort of skirmishy stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
These guys wear green jackets and
pretty much. I have got 4 grenadier squads, all of 15 men. Sergeant's got a melter bomb
and an Irish accent.
So because I've got the Armour Evolved Knight special rule, instead of having their normal las weapons, they've got assault needlers. So they are 3 shots each, and they are poison 3+.
And pinning. So they're hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, at 18 inches range. So that's against everything. So that's not too shabby.
You could basically get somebody to Mr. B a dreadnought to death there by rolling enough ones.
45 shots out of the whole unit.
I think with poison though, with dreadnoughts, you have to re-roll it, don't you?
Yeah.
So 2 of them have got the needle vulnus, which is the sniper version. Sorry, so that's 48 inches, heavy 2, poisoned 2+, breaching 6+, pinning and sniper.
Nice. So you can pick your targets.
So if they want them to stay static, those 2 can put some long range shots in, take out any stupid apothecaries or anything else that might be
sergeants with artificer armor.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's it. And those units have been inged, and they are copy and pasted for exactly the same. I then have a fire support squad, which is 8 teams in total, and they are all missile launchers.
Nice.
Okay.
This is my Treadfeather team.
This is the Treadfeather team, yeah.
This is the Treadfeather team. Yeah, big time point and click. I figure 8 is enough to cause enough people to bother. And then just for the fun, I've got a 5-man recon squad, again with the Volnus Needle squad. They do rocks in at 130 points, but I think that's for giggles.
Cool.
Why not?
Yeah. Nice.
Couple of Thunderbolts to provide air cover. They've got the crack missiles, so they are purely just going to be, which are Skyfire. They're not ground target, so yeah, they're just going to be providing air support. Heavy support choices: 3 Lehman Russes, 1 Vanquisher, las cannon, heavy stubber, searchlight, and dozer blade, because I am not getting immobilized, and searchlight because night fighting is a real pain in the ass. And 2 more again, but they've got the executioner turret, because
the plasma one.
Because
I think that's a good choice.
Yeah,
super cool thing. And then to finish this all off, as an accompaniment to the 3 Russes, there's a Bane Blade with a pintle-mounted multi-melter, Sponson las cannons, and a searchlight.
Nice.
And that rocks in at £2,998. I don't think I've compromised too much. The field guns were kind of like, I've got points to spend. How can I get a bit more in the army without, putting a stupidly big tank in that I don't want?
Yeah.
And they fit in with the kind of Napoleonic inspired vibe that this army would, Ghosts Sharp kind of thing going on with them. So I think,
I've just read the Baneblade cannon. That is terrible.
Oh yeah, I mean literally the Bane Blade is there because I had 400 points.
Yeah, I didn't realise it was that
nothing else to
bad.
spend on. It is.
Does anybody want? So it's strength 8, AP 4, ordnance 1, large blast, pinning, rending 6. It's terrible. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm shocked by how poor that is.
Yeah, but it's only 400 points compared to the coin
Oh, yeah,
and the
it's still
Bell
going to
Blade.
take.
They're better guns, but well, it's still not terrible. It's
It
not,
is terrible.
it's not
Strength
brilliant.
9 AP
Sorry,
3.
I'm trying to say it's going to do something,
10-inch
but
blast.
it's not necessarily, you know. But you've got the other. I'm trying to say there's other stuff on the Bane Blade as well, which is good.
Yeah, last cannons and stuff. So anyway, okay, so
yeah,
usual Queensberry rules apply. 3 categories: fun to play with, fun to play against.
I think
battlefield effectiveness and price. So let's go fun to play with and against.
You,
Graham.
Any advances on Graham?
To play? No, I think
Chris's comes close, but I think Graham's.
Yeah, I think Chris's is fun. I like Chris's theme.
But then again, Rob's all the horses.
No, I was 300. You've got 300 infantry to watch him pack away and go. Nah, you've got to set them up again for next game.
See, that's the only thing that if I'm playing that army against or for, the setup is going to take forever.
I think I would have to find some streamlined way of doing that.
I played Skaven, it's not a problem.
They're on, put them on deployment trays and do them like.
That's exactly
that's the only thing that makes me think I don't want to get involved with that because
I
you would spend an hour doing setup.
I mean, this will never win a game because it won't even draw a game. It's
to be honest, once they lose a morale phase, they're
because they might come back with the 4. That's the hope.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just like, but I think there's an endless amount of fun to be had and shooting the crap out of them, and I'd be quite happy to do that. I quite like. Yeah, okay, I'll take that. Let's move on. Battlefield effectiveness, Mr. B. I'm sorry to say it.
Really?
Yeah.
First time for You've got 12 Lehman Rust Vanquishers, Mr. B.
I'll take it.
But there's.
It isn't just that.
Points win prizes and scoring is a thing. He's got
3
scoring units.
3 scoring units.
Of what were
just
they?
Normal infantry.
Normal infantry. Okay, yes, it's a fair chunk of people to get through wounds-wise.
Was it 60 in each? Was it 20 in each? Rather?
20 in each. So the 60 there plus Discipline Master in each squad. And one squad has your force commander.
And you had the thingy guns as well, didn't you?
Yeah, the field battery guns with the the cable to try and slow down squads getting to me. And each of those squads has stub carbines, so that's 60 shots.
I mean,
they'll die as soon as someone gets near them, they die. But yeah,
I'm going to put myself forward for Battlefield Effect.
You can't do that. It's against the rules.
I'm gonna.
Otherwise, I would.
I can't vote for myself.
You can't vote for yourself.
I can't vote for myself.
I can promote my interest.
Oh, you can make your case, of course.
I have to. I think that Chris.
I think yours would be more effective in the modern meta. I think yours would be more effective.
Because I'm not going to push my own.
Planes die really, really quickly, mate. Because everything's got interceptor. Anything can intercept them. So you rock up. There's going to be, you've got all the dreadnoughts. Bear in mind with their targeting arrays going, smashing. You've got your Arcuses with their targeting arrays going even better. You've got your Deredeos. The list goes on and on. Unfortunately, planes, you don't see them because they are really easy to kill. And even if they don't have Skyfire, you can put enough shots in them from a squad of something like las cannons that you're going to get some 6s.
I can't vote for myself, and I think it would be improper for me to push my own list.
You are allowed to push.
No, I don't like to do that. But I think Chris's is probably the most effective, with just ever so slightly edging out Rob's. Ever so slightly.
Mine's not effective at all.
Yeah, but the horses, I think, are going to they're quick. And those lances
I think they're going to die horribly, like my army, just cooler.
Look, everything in these lists are dying horribly. It doesn't matter what what you say. They're dying horribly.
I think the Lehman Russ is the key for me in that volume.
Yeah, 12
Yeah,
Russes.
I admit in volume it's a bit hard, but it's not.
I don't think Chris is far behind, but both of
It's
them
not nice to
are
look at.
a fair way ahead of either me or Graham.
Okay, I'll accept that, but it's not a fun list, so
That's all right.
I'd rather.
And then finally, we've got
the
costs.
Okay, I don't think any of these lists are coming out at a fair penny here.
Can you go higher or lower than £1,284?
I can go lower. Oh, so it's me and Chris. 1,035.
Son of a bitch.
Oh,
£100 over that.
I'll go for it quickly because
Literally £100 over.
maybe none of this is the best choices, but I've got 2 boxes of Skitarii Rangers, 195. Sorry, 6 boxes of Skitarii Rangers. That's £195. Techno Archaeologist to serve as my discipline masters because this is a Skitarii planet. I don't want flipping commissars. They're 20 quid each, so 60 quid. I've gone for a Tech Priest Dominus as my force commander, 25. Instead of buying Sentinels, which would have been cheaper, I've gone with Iron Striders because they're more Mechanicum looking. So they're 75 quid. So they're like 25 quid. I think 25 quid more expensive than I would have to. Heavy weapon squads wasn't really an alternative. I was kind of thinking the Mechanicum Servitors on the wheels, possibly doing something with them, but I wasn't sure. So I've gone with heavy weapons.
You're doing a 40k army, aren't you?
Yeah, everything is 40k.
Yeah.
There's nothing 30k thing, but I like the look of Skitarii. I love the look of Skitarii.
Mine too. Don't worry, mate. That's exactly
Field
what
Ordnance Battery is 65 quid. 12 Lehman Russes, £480. And a Knight is 105.
I did go the robbing way and go artisan because I did price my troops at Victoria Miniature prices, which is the only way I'll do it.
Yeah,
So
I want to give you that. I want to give you that though, because they're more expensive, but they're cooler.
I got mine over 1,300, but you could get all of mine from Element from up for 1125, which still isn't winning.
Yeah.
But my take from this is it's going to cost you £1,000, so spend 500, 600 on a good 3D printer, learn to use it, get some resin, and save yourself an awful lot of money.
675 £675 of my army is on Catachans, which I would use as my troop choices.
Yeah, mine too. I've got 350 quid's worth of Sentinels at element prices, 290 quid's worth of horses at element prices, 200.
Which horses did you get though?
Just the new ones.
The Assalans.
Yeah,
I was
I
spending
suppose they'll be cheaper than the
10 guys.
280 quid's worth of Grenadiers at element prices.
Yeah.
Like you can buy the new Elegoo Mars. The new Elegoo Mars is a 6K printer. It's on pre-release for next month. It's 300 quid. And it's a large format printer, so it's twice the size of mine. So you would fit 20 infantry on it at a time.
It's going to cost you £5,000 to run it for 20 minutes.
I've clocked.
Actually,
mine,
no, they're not.
I've got a new smart meter. My Mars 3 costs 4p an hour.
So anyway, kids, there's the truth of the matter. So in this one, we have Mr. B nearly doing a clean sweep.
Hey, wait a minute.
That's 2. Yeah, I know, right? So battlefield effectiveness and money
Cost.
This episode isn't going out because the apocalypse is happening tomorrow. That's another.
You won
C1.
battlefield effectiveness the other week, didn't you?
I did.
What's happening?
And
I haven't won anything yet this year.
What's happening?
That's my first point of the year, which I'm very pleased with. But yes, good stuff.
What am I turning into?
What are you doing? A monster, my friend, a monster.
Okay.
Let's call it a night.
Let's end the show
Let's
and
do
go
the
into.
close.
So that brings us to the end of the show, and we hope you have enjoyed our sojourn through the PDF world of Militia with some interesting quirks and what we probably feel.
Force.
Yeah, Planetary Defence Force.
Oh yeah, you could literally do that.
have some good fun with that particular list, though it would very much be in the realm of narrative play. You may disagree, of course, and there's probably things that we've overlooked, so please feel free to let us know, as we always love to hear feedback. But speaking of which, please do leave us some reviews on iTunes, or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube now, which is something that we'll be looking to expand into, or you may even be watching it now on it. The links to all of these things will be
you can see our ugly mugs.
As always, if you could give our page a like, that would be great, for no other reason than just to, just so that we know that you folks out there like what we're doing. That'd be lovely. If you do want to get in contact with us directly, ask us questions, or complain about the show, you can either speak to us directly on the Facebook page or send us a message to our email address, info@edgeofempire.co.uk.
For complaints, it's best to talk to Rob on Facebook.
Info@edgeofempire. But just bear in mind that your question may get stuck down the sofa again of the SMTP server.
I've got a couple in for next show.
Okay, cool.
Show after.
Obviously, if you want to help the show out, we would be very appreciative. So we do have an affiliate link with Audible, so you can sign up and get your Horus Heresy audiobooks through them, a month's free trial, and after that it's £7.50 or £7.99 a month for audiobook, and all the Black Library books are in fact there. You can also, if you want to go to the extra step, become a patron, where you get some exclusive pre-show content which we record every time just to warm up, slightly ruder and less PG-13 version of stuff that we say, and you can find out what we've been watching, reading, playing and listening to. Or you can put a couple of dollars in our tip jar as well, and just to say how much you enjoy the show. For the kind of price of a cup of coffee, you could help us fund the show. So keep the lights on. Just £1, actually. Who can get a cup of coffee for £1 these days? Anyway, you can also help us out by going through our advert on our website to purchase your wargaming toys through the excellent Element Games. And we also have Element Crystal codes, which means you get double crystals and we get normal crystals. These will be in the show notes, but if you want to take them down now, Chris's is CHR211.
Mine 3 now, aren't I?
Well, yeah, good idea. Mine is GRA2794. Dolly, aka Mr. B, is Mike MIC440, and Rob's is ROB676.
Yeah.
We also have some affiliate links with The Outpost as well, which is another great FLGS in Sheffield. In terms of our next episode, we'll have a roundup of all the current news and current events going on in the Heresy world. We'll have a trip back to Rob's Paint Shack, and following that, we'll be starting to look at specific types in the Heresy, starting with the troop choices.
Yeah, we haven't had Rob's Paint Shack for a bit.
He's been a busy boy, so
that was one of the questions we had. When is Rob's Paint Shack coming back? So what do you want to do next time, Rob? Is there anything? Do you want to talk about the Golden Demon, the process, how you went about
the journey? Yes.
Yeah, the journey, because I think that will be something that a lot of people would appreciate.
If people do, let us know, because it's just something that I tend to freewheel. So yeah, if people want to know something specific, ask for it, because otherwise I'll just blither on about what new white paint I've bought this month.
I think it would be really helpful for like someone who's gotten to as far as you did, what happened, how it went, what the process was, and your journey to get there. How much.
Got in the back of Graham's car, got it, handed it.
No,
in.
what I mean is, conceptualizing the idea, and if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to make that up basically, because I didn't really go through any of that. But okay.
Well, yeah, I mean that is, sometimes I've heard the phrase planner and pantser before. So like someone who plans everything out meticulously. So like, right, it's going to be like this. It's going to have this, and then someone who's right, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it by the seat of my pants.
Fair enough.
Let's find out which one of those Rob is in the Paint Shack. So, nothing left to do except to wish everybody a fine month of Heresy, and we shall be seeing you soon. So it's a good night from me, Graham.
And it's good night from him.
Love and snuggles, everybody.
Yes.
Good night. Have fun.
Bye.
Good night, all.